Welcome to the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris the Candyman, and you already know what time it is. We're drafting best ball teams. 2 new tournaments released today. The Puppy But Superflex, the Pug, a 3-maxer. I'm excited about it. We got to get in these streets, draft some of these new tournaments, and maybe first we can fill an eliminator. I've been wanting to get some more in. Maybe we can make it happen. What are you guys up for tonight? Let me know in the chat. And if you're watching this later, if you're new to the channel, make sure you're subbed and leave a comment below and let me know what you're drafting these days anyways. Plus, we have an extra special guest tonight. We've got Mr. Sean Mitchell from Extended Drive. He's here. He's drafting with us. We'll bring him on in a second. But of course, first, we'll kick it to the intro. But overall, it's like the guy can ball. Like, actions speak louder than words. Sean, how we doing?
Good, dude. Oh, I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing
ready
better.
To do some drafts, huh? Yeah.
Was that?
I said ready to do some drafts, huh?
Oh, of course. Oh, you know it. Definitely. I'm jealous. People have been drafting these new tournaments all day. I've been seeing the other streams, seeing the Twitter posts with their teams. We're overdue. We got to get in. Have you been drafting any of these new tournaments today yet?
Man, I'm like you. I was busy all day with the day gig. The holiday weekend, I had a lot of stuff kind of build up. So honestly, these are going to be my first drafts of the day right here with you. So obviously, I appreciate you having me on, man. Ready for a lot of fun.
Perfect. And I just joined a 30-second elim. It's +1 to start. So if anyone wants to hop in, sorry I didn't clarify if it was 20 or 30-second elim, but we want to kick it off with a 30-second elim. It's a tournament I've been wanting to get more volume on. I feel like it's a lot of fun, especially with a guest on. We'll see how far we can get this thing going. And it filled. So just like that, perfect timing.
Bang,
I'm going to bring it up on the screen, and then Sean and I are going to jump into an elim. And then Sean was telling me this will be your first elim you've done so far this year.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering, which, hey, UD, got to give them props on coming out and firing today, the day after Memorial, and then Puppy Field yesterday. So they came out, bang, bang, put out 2 more contests. So no, I was actually going to dive into the elim this week. And I was like, they probably won't post anything else for, a couple of days, maybe a week, kind of let the other contests continue to get some of that fill rate. And then all of a sudden they posted more. And so, I was like, okay, well, definitely going to be getting into the Pug. Probably won't be touching much on the Superflex. But, I do think that the elim is one that I will jump into eventually.
The more I did my research on it, the more intimidating I realized the elim was. It's technically you only have to beat 23 people, but it's 15 consecutive head-to-heads. So if you're feeling lucky, if you want to, bet black on a roulette wheel 15 times in a row, that's the kind of odds we're looking at. But I think it's also fun because of the 6 out of 12 advancing from the pod. So it makes it a really good draft in my mind to do with the chat, to do on stream, to do with people, because you're not competing directly with people in your pod for the most part.
Yeah. And so to that point, like, what's your general elim strategy? Like, what's your most basic? If again, for me, like I said, this is going to be like a learning experience for me. And I did a little bit of a crowdsource on Twitter, I think yesterday, but break it down. Like, what's the, I got everything from, you want to have a good floor to start out at running back. You kind of want to do a decent floor with tight end. They said you obviously want to spread out your bye weeks. Week 8 was a one that I heard a couple of times. So you tell me your strat. What's your best strategy for the elim?
Definitely. Pretty concisely, I'd say it's super. You want to go for a super high floor and a high ceiling. So you don't want to really give up too much. And I don't think it's ultimately that different from the Best Ball Manias, but just a little bit quirkier. Would you rather go Justin Jefferson or Gibbs, or did you toss up? How do you feel?
I feel like Gibbs would probably be the top bet. As I heard from most of the strategy was you really want to hit on running back first. I think that's obviously which a guy like Gibbs who's got excellent ceiling and floor. I don't think you can really go wrong there.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'd lean a little to tiny bit more running back heavy in this contest. I honestly I'm interested to see how it pans out, whether it's that much different from like a best ball mania or what. I don't think it's going to be totally different. I think the same teams that are, well, who knows? Because it's so random, the teams that make it through to the 3-person final. But I kind of have a hunch that the similar season-long trends of a breakout player and
Right.
this is the best player to pick in the first round. You had to have like a Saquon or Christian McCaffrey. I think it could be true among different contests, and so I'm not sure yet, but I'm pretty high on Gibbs.
Yeah.
I think he's really consistent. I like Jefferson just as much.
Yeah. With it being half PPR, obviously leaning towards more running back. I feel like too. So I agree with you there. And also that's like something that I was thinking about. It's like, does that deter you? Like in this contest, specifically, does it deter you from wanting to take rookies? Does it deter you from wanting to take the ambiguous backfields? Does it deter you from not wanting to get those guys that you are worried that might not be on the field in week one or have the lion's share of the majority of the opportunities? So that seems like something that's probably pretty prudent, that you probably don't want to be just taking a lot of risk.
Those are some good points. So one of the things you said that I was thinking about was the rookies. I think there's probably a little bit steeper of a price on the rookies that are highest on the draft board. So
right.
Maybe T-Mac and Hunter, which I think are still good picks, but maybe they're a little bit overpriced in this format. Maybe I know the ADPs are different, but I still think guys later on can be a huge, like those rookies later on. Maybe it's a Higgins or a Trey Harris can be a big factor, and then those could always swing in your direction. We come back around. McConkey and AJ Brown are still there. I'd be down for either one of those guys.
I'm a lad guy. Yeah. I'm
lad.
Definitely a lad guy.
Let's do that. That sounds good.
Where are you on AJ Brown this year? I mean, I didn't want to get you off topic, but that's one that's been kind of interesting to me because I really haven't been clicking him much, and I don't know if
AJ Brown,
you're at on that. Yeah,
I'm pretty in just because I like his like single game ceiling. Right. I think he's just like a dominant alpha wide receiver, and so that's kind of like the talent based profile that I like. But I have heard some good counter arguments to now it's Saquon's offense, he's the engine of the offense. Hurts doesn't have the passing volume, and I think that's all true. Yeah. And it makes sense in a season long scoring format like maybe the marathon. But in maybe this
like weekly game.
Yeah, in a weekly game, I think he still is like very, very good in my mind. It's tough though. There's a lot of good wide receivers in the end of the first and the beginning of the second, thinking of like best ball ADP that I want exposure to. So I'm probably a little bit overexposed to AJ Brown right now, but I don't want to miss out on guys like a Nico or a Brian Thomas either, or even Ladd McConkey and Drake London, who probably I need to catch up the most on Drake London.
I was going to say, London was one that I had ranked quite high to start the pre-draft. I had him like 12 or 13. Obviously, I've not been really taking him in that area, but that's kind of where I had him at. That was my pre-ranks. But nice. He's definitely one that I have been taking more. But yeah, with AJ Brown and I think you're fine there with Tyreek going there.
Kind of stick kind of close to ADP. Just get kind of what's there for us in these first couple of rounds, and then make some more decisions later on what we can do. I think not a bad way to play it. You were saying you're in on London. I think Michael Penix is going to be a big hit. I think he's going to be great. I think he's one of the next like big pocket passers who apparently has some underrated mobility. We've kind of come to learn. Some of the guys in the chat have been telling me about, and I was more aware of him when he played for Washington that final season.
Right.
And then the small 3-game sample we saw last year with the Falcons, not a bad go at it. So I think I think the Falcons offense can be pretty fun this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously saw some clips already from just the little mini and OTAs and stuff, and yeah, he looks solid. Obviously, to what you alluded to with those last 3 games of the season last season, he really came on just right. I mean, like a cannon out of a gun. He wasn't shy, and Drake London was the biggest beneficiary, and he went off. So yeah, I fully that was a big reason why I had London, kind of ranked so high. A lot of people weren't with that, but you got to get your stands in, and that's it was kind of murky in that range already. CMC's moved up a lot now, but the other guys in that range, like you said, the AJ Brown, the Lad McConkey was in the 18 to 19 range. So yeah, I mean, I think London stayed in that 15, 16 range for quite a while. Now he's kind of, in this format, I'm guessing he's going a little bit later. And in single quarterback, I think he's probably still going a little bit earlier. But it's just there's 2 or 3 guys there that I feel like can it's like splitting hairs.
Sure. It's pretty much just get your guy or get exposure to everyone equally. Either way can work. Last year, I was more of a get your guy. I was taking Nico Collins in the first round instead of letting him fall to the second. And so I was trying to pair up Nico with every single combination of other first round wide receivers like Justin Jefferson, Nico, I could get things like that. Puka Nico was a very common one that I had. Ended up being the worst combo practically because of the injuries on both of them. But
right.
But in theory, I think just combos of those wide receiver pairs in the first 2 rounds is something I've always been interested in. I think in this format, so we see the running backs going just a bit earlier. Not that much different overall because it ends up just pushing these wide receivers a little bit, down the second round.
Right.
And then sometimes you see the quarterbacks go a bit earlier too. Lumsky going with the double elite QB there. Also want to give a shout out to, we got Lumsky in here. We got, Mr. Fantasy Football Wizard in the 11th spot. If you're in the stream right now, what up, man? Hope you're having a great Tuesday night. Appreciate you stopping by. Otherwise, we just got lucky and we're drafting with one of the infamous 2024 drafters.
Oh, he's in here. Well, I've seen him in the chat.
Oh, he is in here? I didn't catch up yet. So I was going to peek over there after we make this next pick. I know we got all the bros.
I didn't mean to. But yeah, he's in there.
Yeah, no, you spoiled it. You're playing spoiler on what's going on. What do you think we do here, Sean? Because we could really go anywhere with this next pick. We could pull up a Kamara, which seems a little bit extreme, but his ADP is 50 in this format. Definitely a good floor play. Has the ceiling. You were talking about Kamara on your stream a couple days ago.
If you're worried about running backs going earlier, I wouldn't mind pulling him up. But I'm with you there, or I wouldn't even mind like a DJ Moore or something like that. Continue on wide receiver, but I also play a lot of one quarterback. Yeah, it's up to you.
Let's go more.
We can do DJ because honestly, I feel like AK does fall at times, and we will get a chance to scoop him at 52, I think.
Yep.
And the only thing that I was saying was, well, if they're pulling running backs up early, that's one thing, but because they are actually pulling up running backs decently early. You got Chuba going at 30, was it 37? Then James Cook, he's going around the same.
Yeah, that price on Chuba to me is pretty egregious.
The Joe Mixon, aggressive.
It's very
Joe
aggressive.
Mixon is probably worse.
The Mixon one's pretty expensive. The Hampton one, I guess you can say it's a big upside, rookie swing, but even that to me is a little bit expensive. I get that it's an eliminator format and trying to create that.
And that's
floor,
the point. Is like, what if Hampton doesn't, what if he doesn't gain the line share 60% or plus after until week 6 or 8, and you pretty much
might not even make it to week 6 or 8 in this format,
shoot
right?
yourself in the foot. Yeah, that was one of those instances I was talking about earlier. It's like, well, do you really want to take the shot on those early running backs, that rookies especially? That's to me, it seems like not exactly the best play. Of course, and
I kind of figured he would do that, but I was going to be equally happy to get either Harvey or Connor. The only question now is, how do you feel about Sutton? I think I'm pretty in on him. It gives us one more option. Also, we could pull up Jamison Williams, who I'm pretty high on too. How are you feeling about this pick?
I like Sutton. I've got quite a bit of Sutton. Yeah. At this point, I feel like that the next range of running backs is kind of all similar. You get into that range with James Conner and who's kind of going in that area too. But they're all kind of, Monty,
sure.
Pollard.
All the way through Pollard.
Right.
Yep.
Like, and
Swift even.
I even still like Judkins because honestly, Judkins would probably be one that I would be more willing to take in this format because I do think that he starts as the one right out of the gate. I don't really think that he's got much of a competition. A lot of people are thinking that Samson could potentially be, like a duel, like them splitting the backfield. Honestly, I think it's going to be Judkins
Me too.
right out of the gate. So
100%. I feel strongly about Judkins.
yeah,
He's just been dominant every time he's been in an offense. Of course, at Ohio State, they have the luxury of having so many different skilled players at every single position. But you saw what he did at Ole Miss. The guy is a dog. I mean, I've been following QJ for a couple years since he had that breakout true freshman year at Ole Miss, and I was like, man, once this guy gets in the NFL, he's going to be the real deal. So I'm excited about it. Let's catch up with the chat a little bit. We got Chris being here earlier. Appreciate you being here, my man. Always appreciate the kind words. We got my man Bindles. Never super flex, only that bum PPR Tyler drafts those. Ooh, called out. And then,
I saw the video. I saw the video that PPR Tyler posted.
No doubt.
Not too long ago. That was
always stirring the pot. Not surprised at all. Probably had a few apples in him. Got Mr. Jason Calhoun in here, the world famous Huron River Rat, and look at the little picture there of that river rat. Love it. Got Hartman. You're going down tomorrow, Hartman. That's another thing, Sean. I got to get some help from you. You gotta give me some quizzes on topics and things I'm gonna come into tomorrow on the Best Ball Jeopardy.
On the Best Ball Jeopardy
Network.
Ooh, man.
And I'm facing off against Hartman, so I'm not that scared. But if you could give me a little bit of quizzical and bye weeks, all
learn your bye week math.
Yeah.
Make sure you know all your late round rookies.
Other
than that, just make sure you know your wide receiver numbers, which was, I don't know how you look at them in terms of that. Like, I look more at ADPs, and I look more at, I say ADPs, like
right.
I don't look at why running back 24 off the board or running back 56. I look at ADPs more than I look at what number, I guess it is in sequence where running back's going off or whatever. So that kind of threw me off a little bit, but no, it was fun, man. You'll enjoy it. I know you guys will have a great time. Shout out to FanSpeak, shout out to Meg and Bruni and Steve and all that team over there. They're good people.
No doubt. I agree with everything you said there. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've slightly punted to week 12 bye for the receivers. I don't hate it, though, because the odds we make it to week 12 are pretty low. And when we get there, anything can happen.
Right.
But otherwise, besides that kind of, looking out for week 12, we can go Judkins or Henderson.
I like Judkins. But
you want to go Judkins here? I'm cool with it.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not just so adamant in thinking that Travion Henderson is going to start as the one.
Okay.
I still think Ramondre is going to be in the mix early and often. Sure. I still think he's going to be the early down back. I think that Travion is going to be used not exactly sparingly in a way. I do think that he's going to be more of the big play, third down. I think he'll get some carries, but I think that Ramondre is going to be the early down grinder. And I think that's going to lower his ceiling just a tad, especially for the first half of the season, especially in a format like this. That's why I kind of lean to Judkins there.
That's a good point, though, is there's definitely more competition for snaps in the Patriots backfield at running back than there is for the Browns. I just tend to agree. Maybe I'm just going off my own intuition a little bit, but I think if we're going to talk about who starts off with the most carries, it's probably Judkins over Henderson in the beginning of the season, most definitely.
Absolutely. Like, I just feel like that's not even really much of a question, especially after which I'm fine going tight end if you want to do tight end.
I'm tempted to go Laporta. We've got the Detroit kind of team stack going for us. I think Laporta's, phenomenal and can score a bunch of touchdowns. Could just be that one last elite tight end before kind of a break. Yeah. And it's more kind of middling after that.
Totally
so maybe it helps us.
Don't mind that. Totally don't mind that. But
I've been kind of out on Laporta just so far, but I want to get back in on him a little bit more than I am.
That's, I made that tweet yesterday, and I'm the same way. Like, I've not really been able to find the click in just regular, traditional. He falls in just a really awkward spot there. Where
that's what I'm saying.
A lot of the times at like the mid 70s there, I'm looking at the Jerry Judys and the guys that are falling a little bit later, or like Judkins or, guys in that range. But yeah, if I miss on like early tight end, if I miss on Brock, or if I miss on McBride, or if I miss on Kittle, even, I'm usually waiting until like the Mark Andrews area, Jonnu Smith, and I'm not touching tight end until then. So he just falls in that really awkward range where I'm not really looking for a tight end at that point.
Totally agree. That's my same reasoning as the opportunity cost is so high in round 6, 7 for him. But at the same time, I don't want to be completely out on him. It's one of the best offenses. And then
it's a good point.
It's so easy to get a good tight end room later in the drafts too. Like I love my tight end rooms when it's just like a Freiermuth and an Ertz, or could be a Kraft and Juwan Johnson, or like I'll take 2 late tight ends.
Gesicki, there's so many around in that back half that even there's some that are still emerging from the very very back, like Arroyo, is getting good coach speak, and if Noah Fant ends up getting cut, or he could easily move
or just
up
beat out
immensely. Just beat out. So the back range of tight ends, and I've said it millions of times, it's very easy to go 0 tight end and not touch one until the Gesicki range easily too, and you can get 3 easily in the back half. So
no doubt. I do think because we've got, Nix and Caleb would be kind of our first up options, but then later on we're going to have a chance at Herbert, Tua, even Goff for this team.
Yeah, I was thinking Goff, but I don't know how much you want to stack up. I was thinking Goff, obviously since we took Laporta and Gibbs. I know Goff would definitely, which I don't know how, again, this is the first time I'm doing the Elim, and it looks like the ADPs are way different right off the bat. Guys are getting pushed up multiple spots. And I don't know how Pat usually goes in that range. Joe goes in that range if he's not trying to get pushed with the Jamar Chase and T. Higgins guys. And so it looks like the quarterbacks are relatively staying in the same spot. But yeah, Goff's always there in that 115, 120, 125 range. So I feel like that's an easy weight, especially since we've already got 2 pieces of that, that offense.
Yeah, and I think, we'll have to check the board real quick to see where JMO went. Maybe we can get Goff at 117. I'd feel good about pulling the trigger a little bit early on him. But otherwise, I think and I'll sort to wide receiver and running back. We could take Cam. We could, I'm probably thinking we could take. I
don't mind Cam. I don't mind Jaden Higgins. I don't mind Shaheed, to be honest. But that's I think Jaden Higgins has a pretty decent path, but I think Shaheed's easily the one who probably starts out, and the reports are good. Looks like he's not going to have any limitations to start the season. So
with Shaheed, with his knee.
With Shaheed, I've taken quite a bit of Shaheed, so definitely don't mind him. I think Scadaboo is completely fine, which I've got.
I let it hit Scadaboo. I always flip back and forth how I'm saying his name, but I'm pretty sure it's Scadaboo as well.
I think it is too.
I know it's so hard to say though.
Like it's easier. It rolls off easier. It just doesn't sound right to say. It
doesn't roll off the tongue with the 1-0, but
right.
We'll see who's there with the next pick. Javonte Williams, not a guy I dropped a ton of, but maybe in this format could make sense. I like betting on talent more than opportunity. So in most cases, so it's kind of an ugly pick. Pittman, talent and opportunity could be a good pick. I'm not against the Shaheed pick. I've always liked Shaheed, and as long as he's healthy, then he can. I think he's potentially QB proof too.
You're right.
I think he's just good. I said I didn't want to push to get Nix, but he is there. So that's just an option. Okay, he goes. I kind of feel better about not taking him.
Yeah, I think you could definitely push. I'm fine either one of the wide receivers. I think is a good one. I'm also high on Caleb. If you want to just grab a quarterback, that's a.
I feel like pushing quarterback because we went with the elite tight end early. So I'm down to get a receiver here. If you want to do Shaheed or Pittman or Burden, I'll let you pick.
Do Shaheed. Yeah.
Let's do Shaheed.
He would be the pick probably.
I like him.
I think he definitely gives you. He's not exactly a floor, but he definitely gives you a nice upside. And if he happens to have a couple of good weeks to start the year, you're going to be probably looking pretty good.
No, I'm definitely in on him. I think he's getting slept on a little bit because of the knee injury, and people are a little bit afraid of the Saints offense and the QB situation in general. But I'm a fan of Shaheed, so I'm happy to get him in this format. 9th round, not the worst price tag either. I mean, it sucks to see Jared Goff go there. I kind of wanted to check because we had that JMO drafter on our right side, so we lose one of our best stacking options. But I'm still pretty confident that either stacking up Ladd or Tyreek can be a really nice way to do this.
Right. Yeah. Still, obviously, the quarterbacks are flying off the board here. So
eventually it'll slow down. You can only take so many QBs, right? So we'll keep grabbing value at running
back. That's
back.
what I was saying. Like, if I don't know. I know you said you've only done a couple of these elims, but it seemed like all of a sudden the quarterback run came, and it came quickly. Which I guess that's
we're just ready for it.
For the format. But
we're ready for it. No, we've got a lot of outs, and I think it's very valuable to get the skill position players where the value above replacement for them is so much higher than the QBs, where you can replace the QB points with a little bit easier to make up points at QB, I think. Although you don't want to get completely dusted and end up drafting, really, really bad, low floor, low ceiling QBs either.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to be stuck having to get like a Geno, Sam Darnold, type of room, which you don't want to go that far. There's still plenty of opportunity here
with those two. So we're ripping through. This draft is going really fast for 30 seconds.
We're already in round 10 here, and it feels like we just started. It,
get some more drafts in.
Absolutely.
What up, Nick Bach? We got Putt Daddy in here. OG. Appreciate you being here, my man. Hartman, what are you saying, you sly dog? Pug definitely looks good. Oh, okay. No, thought you were trying.
I agree. The pug structure is pretty nice.
I'm excited about it. I think the pug. I don't want to max it too quickly, but I definitely want to get in.
Yeah, and while you're making the pick, I was just
gonna say, why not Caleb? Right, we got DJ Moore.
I mean, it's falling right to you. Yeah.
Let's take a quick peek at the other teams on our left, though. Maybe we go Burden and then force them to take an unstacked Caleb. I see Odunze on the Bird Gang team, though, so maybe not.
I mean, it's a risk, but they all do have one quarterback already. But and Burden could potentially fall back. So,
and we still need to make Herbert with our next pick, anyways. So, I don't think it would have worked out. I mean, maybe we take Burden and then push, but then we have to make a tough choice between Caleb and Justin Herbert. And I think I want both of them. Best case scenario. So,
would love to. Yeah.
Worst case scenario, we miss out on Justin and we get Burden now, and that's actually not bad either.
No, I would be fine with that. There's still, you still got Tua, you still got Penix, you still got some good quarterbacks.
No one wants Tua. Tua goes so late.
He does. Nobody really does. It's funny. I say that, but you'll find people pulling him up for just any one stack partner too, though. So it just depends on the room you're in, right?
Yeah, he does. I mean, people remember Waddle very fondly, and then some people are just in or out on Hill. I've always been in on Hill. I think he's kind of a maniac, but I mean, I love him. So I want a fast guy who's been there, done that, veteran on this team. And then we got DJ Moore, Sutton, and Hill. We got our older veterans. Shaheed still, a veteran, but still's got a lot of, I think, ways to go in his prime too. McConkey's kind of our young wide receiver anchor on this one, if I guess you can call it that. And then the running backs, we got Gibbs, Judkins, Scattaboo, which reminds me, after this, I'll catch up with the chat after this next pick. And
but no, that's what I was going to say, going back to the pugs, and I'm obviously hoping we get Herbert here. I was thinking about doing one or two maybe, and then leaving, because I did that with the Schnauzer. I've got one Schnauzer left.
I've got two left.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait until it is 99%, and then I'm just going to hop into it.
What is it at right now? I'm kind of worried, but I don't think it's at 90%, is it?
No, I think it's still in the 80s. I looked at it earlier, and it was I guess it was earlier this morning, and it was still at 79%. So
perfect.
Fully don't think so, but I was like, you know what? I could do that also with the pug, and Herbert falls to us. So
gotta get him.
It's nice. Get the double stack there. You've got two really solid quarterbacks and stacked up both ways. It's real solid.
Yeah, fortune favors us being a little bit bold there. We get Caleb to come back.
Well, around. We didn't pull up Jared Goff, but it seems like we got rewarded for not doing that too. So we'll take it. We'll take it.
It's still valuable to have the two good players in the Lions offense with our first pick in Gibbs and Laporta, and then even without Goff, I mean, it's still a deadly combo.
Yeah, I was going to say, Goff is not one, kind of like in this instance, Goff's not one that I feel like you've got to have if it's. As long as having two good pieces on the Detroit offense, I feel like you're in a good spot. You don't have to have the stack.
I found myself, I think Detroit's probably the offense I'm drafting the most of this
Yeah.
season? Is there a team that you're drafting the most of?
Let's see. The team that I am drafting the most of right now is the Panthers, unfortunately. But I just feel like they're all really undervalued and underpriced a little bit.
Yeah.
That's, Bryce Young has pretty much been my go-to quarterback in the late rounds. I liked what I saw last year. I think they're going to take a step up. I've been pulling a lot of Tat now. And then, I think their running back room is still decently priced. You get Rico pretty much for nothing.
I'm trying to think what we can do here. Receivers are starting to go a little bit. Besh and Kyle Williams are both still there, and I like both of them a good amount. You interested in either one of these guys over the other?
I'll take Kyle. I've got a lot of Besh, but I think Kyle probably is going to have an easy path to playing time.
Okay.
I saw a report I guess it was yesterday, said that May was already, looking his way a lot. So,
I should have checked to see where the Waddle drafter was before I made that pick, but I think we're good. I think he was on the other side, if I remember correctly.
You're probably correct.
Yeah, he was on our other side. He's on our right, so we're solid to push to. I do want to go 3 QBs in this one.
Are you going 3 Q? Yeah.
And I think we just finish it off with Tua, unless we, for some reason, want to play it through Shuck or Rattler, but I can't really say that without kind of already not wanting to do that. So worst case scenario, we can figure something else out late, but I think we do want to pull the trigger on Tua here.
Yeah, and I was going to say, what is the standard? What would I know? Obviously, in your regular, one quarterback, just regular format, it's the 2-6, 7 to 8 wide receivers, 3 tight ends, three quarterback. Is that typically what you try to get in here too, or do you try to?
I think I've been leaning a lot into, I think in this format, although I haven't done a ton, I think it makes a lot of sense to go with like a 3 QB build. 5 running backs to me feels real solid a lot of the time.
Okay.
Maybe 6 if you need to play catch up a little bit, and then you can do 7 or 8 wide receivers, 2 or 3 tight ends. So I think it's kind of the standard builds. I haven't done anything extreme.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I would feel this could be a good format to go hyper fragile, but I'd want to be really strong, like 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds kind of thing.
Yeah. If you're going to do it, you probably really need to have at least 2 to 3 start running back there. I agree.
So week 12 is definitely our kind of bye week conflict right now. And I think Caleb Williams, I don't know for sure who he's playing in week 12. Maybe we do a little Googling on that before we finish this one out, but it's kind of too late to change much right now. So we're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, you're kind of already both feet in on this one, right? So I don't think you can really change up too awful much.
No doubt.
But yeah, I agree with maybe possibly looking to see who they play. That way you kind of can get a secondary piece in there that could play to your advantage, especially in that week.
It's kind of big braining it, but I kind of like the way you're thinking about that. And I was somehow my keyboard's not working.
Obviously you're hoping that piece will be there. Obviously, escaping injury and so what and so forth. But I do think it's something you could use as a small bit of a strategy. I don't know how much edge it's going to give you, if it gives you any at all. But at the same time, if you've kind of got a crutch already on a bye week, it's not a bad idea, right? I don't think it's a bad idea. But yeah, the Schnauzer is still only 84%. It's 83.5%. So yeah, it's still got quite a while before talking too much about that one.
Yeah, I got those 2 Schnauzers left. I just unplugged my camera trying to plug back in my keyboard, which is not working. I was trying to Google the Bears. So we're building the plane as we're flying it, and sometimes things like that happen.
Sometimes you get a little turbulence,
Yeah. Buckle your seatbelt, guys. We're in for a bumpy ride.
I was trying to look it up myself.
Yeah, you were doing a great job. You made a good improv there, good covering, and keeping it going. We could likely is kind of a fun pick. I don't have to go that route. I probably want to go running back before it gets too much later. You could do something like a Jalen Wright, Justice Hill, gives us a little bit of floor play. I think we need to go running back sooner than later. How you feeling about this?
Yeah, as long as you're not too off already, but which obviously that's the bye week, but we've already stacked up enough. I mean, I feel like I like Jalen Wright. I've got a lot of Jalen
Okay.
Wright, so I'm never going to say no on Jalen Wright, to be flat out honest.
Perfect. Yeah, I think because we went with those 3 middle QBs, we took a big pause on running back. I don't mind it though, because the way we're playing it is just it Gibbs is the guy you need, and now we just need to get some depth. So we might actually end up going with. We could get to 6 running backs in this build since we've got 4 already, and we don't feel like we've,
Yeah, especially with taking Scatterboo, which we don't exactly know.
Really
Jalen Wright, we're not fully surely, so I would fully be okay going 6 here. I think it would probably make it a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, so like a 3-6-7-2, we could definitely lean into that. And then,
I feel like the wide receivers are absolutely the strong point here. Obviously, you got Laporta at tight end. You've gotten 3 good, decent quarterbacks, but I think the receivers are definitely the strong point. First 4 for sure. You got a solid base there. Tacked on a couple of high upside guys there with Shaheed and then Kyle Williams, who could really turn into something. Saw the whole thing about Stephon Diggs today. I saw some kind of report saying that he might not even be ready till week 4.
Oh, really?
I don't know how much merit there is to it, but that's makes you think. Like, is he really not as far along in his recovery as all the reports have shown him to be? Or I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know more about that. I was kind of optimistic that Hill might be there. I think he's a good play. I don't know. Shipley seems like people are into him. I'm not crazy about him. Just didn't see anything out of him last year.
I do think he's the direct backup. I mean, I think he's obviously on a really good offense. I'm assuming he gets the Saquon role.
What about Dobbins? Mystery box? Are you in on it?
I would probably. I'm okay with Dobbins.
Okay.
I don't have much. I really don't. And
I've got a lot.
You've got a lot?
Yeah, I need to get off it just a little bit, but here I am again.
I have more like Keenan Allen in that kind of that same situation where it's like, are they, where are they going to sign? If they do, where are they going to sign? I do think both do eventually sign somewhere. I guess I'm more worried about the situation that they sign into and if they're actually going to have any type of, immediate role. I don't know. It's these vets though. It's, that's what they always say is they don't really want to go to camp. They don't really want to, they want to try to skip as much as they can. I saw Hartman saying that Diggs report was from a Patriots beat writer. So
interesting.
That, Rotor Baller was the one that published it. I saw it on the timeline and I just kind of quote tweeted it and said 4 weeks with a question mark. And it kind of ran from there, which I was grabbing Diggs at like pre-draft when he was going 100 plus. But, since he's moved it up into the 70s, mid 70s, I haven't touched him a single time. So it is interesting that someone says that did come from one of their beat reporters because now that may be a little bit more valid than I thought. And I guess that was on me for not really doing my own due diligence and actually going fully into the article. But I was actually doing some other things at the time, so it was just like a real quick thing.
That's news to me, so I'm here for it. We probably want to make a smart decision about our last tight end. I think we don't have to force it though. We still want to probably go one more running back and one more receiver, so I'm looking there. And bye week wise for the running backs, I think it's all in play. We could do Ford to go with Judkins, unless you think that's a bad bet. We could do Lloyd. I think is kind of a fun pick.
I think Lloyd for this team is probably a better bet than Ford. I've taken a lot
of Lloyd.
Lloyd. I think Lloyd's probably he's getting a lot of hype, being fully healthy again. He was absolutely getting a lot of hype last year before he had the injury riddled little season there that pretty much took out his whole rookie year. He was very highly touted coming into the league. And they supposedly have been saying that they don't really want to give Josh Jacobs the same amount of load that he had last year, even though he can fully handle it. So I am kind of interested to see if Marshall and Lloyd does mix in a little bit more, if he can stay healthy. So I do think he gives us a little bit of a valuable out there where he could in the later weeks, especially being a late round target there, give us something more in those later weeks.
Right. Do you have any interest? I searched to it. Do you have any interest in any of the Chargers tight ends, or do you think we just go with another better option?
Is Juwan there?
I think he went, but let's check. Yeah, he had gone, right?
Okay. I will say Ja'Tavion Sanders is absolutely going to start as tight end 1 because it's looking
Trimble's
like
out.
Tommy Trimble is going to be on the pup to start.
Saw that.
So I would probably look to maybe take Sanders. I think he's going to be a nice early start. Even though we've got our early tight end, we still could fill a flex. At some point, if whatever the reason, Ja'Tavion Sanders has 4 catches for, I don't know, 50 yards and a touchdown or 2. Luckily, you might get real lucky on that. But
and then my only hesitation on Higbee is we got the week 8 bye overlap. So maybe you could just punt tight end in week 8, but I don't know. Maybe it's smarter to if Sanders is there, just kind of get a.
I like it. I do think either one's viable. I've got a lot of Higbee too, but I agree with the bye week being week 8. You could totally punt it, but if you don't have to, I don't really see a reason to do so.
Sure.
And plus, Sanders will probably be looking like the starting tight end even after Trimble is back. So don't really think that whereas Higbee could, not going to say he won't lose his job, but because I've definitely heard all the reports, I've saw the coach speak. So I do think you could push Sanders if you want to go another wide receiver.
Do you have any interest in McMillan at super late?
That's what I was saying. I think you could go McMillan here and try to push Sanders and just play defense if Sanders does happen to go. I think you take McMillan here. I think he's a solid option right here. I was gonna say it was either him or Noel, and I think McMillan will probably have a more. I don't know. A lot of people are raving on the report today from McMillan going over Ibuka, but McMillan was pretty good to end last season, and
I don't mind him at this price.
Right.
He's essentially free here.
I was gonna say it's getting him at that cost at 196. There's no downside at all, really. So
yeah, and then hey, appreciate you holding down the chat. My keyboard died. This draft is literally the fastest eliminator I've ever drafted. It might just be the fastest draft I've ever entered. And you're holding it down in the chat, so I appreciate that, Sean.
Oh, you're good, man.
I want to say what up to Steve, what up to Steph. Got 2 Hames in here, a bunch of the regulars. Wanted to catch up with Vitario. How you doing, my man? Hello. Appreciate you being here. Got Emo Cowboy in here, of course. You and Emo had a fun stream last week too, and then it's always good to have him on. And see him in the chat as well. Got disbanded. FFE, how you doing, brother? Shahid guy, but not sure about the QBs. No, see, that's exactly why we should draft Shahid.
Exactly.
Get on the talent, and then the fear out there about the QB. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah.
The Pugs late. Yeah, I could do some. What up, Charles Nelson? How you doing, brother? Love the Phillip Rivers avatar you got going there. And then Hartman, of course, in here. He's my rival right now. Dear friend Hartman becomes my enemy just like that. We're facing off. If you hadn't heard, guys, Hartman and I are going to be on the FanSpeak Network tomorrow night for Best Ball Jeopardy. And then after this draft, actually, I want to get some advice from Sean since I got him live, and maybe I can avenge his.
My loss to Hugh.
I wasn't going to say loss. I was going to say appearance. I was going to be a lot more neutral than that.
Oh no, I'm totally fine saying.
Hugh Hames is in here too, actually.
Yeah,
so
he torched me. I was not on my A game, and he was. And major props to him again. He was
real
on.
Sharp. Real sharp guy. Good drafter. But you are too, man. I've appreciated. I've enjoyed watching the drafts you've been doing in your stream. And so, you guys already know. You already know Sean. You see him on Twitter. You've seen him putting out some streams. But make sure you go in the description here. Give him a follow on X, Twitter. Make sure you're subscribed to Extend the Drive, his channel. He's been putting out some fun drafts, some good content. And so I was real excited to link up with Sean and get him on the stream and draft an eliminator together. We did it, guys. I was very pessimistic that we'd be able to fill an Elim on a Tuesday night with these new tournaments coming out, but we did it. I want to get more volume in this tournament, and I think it's super fun to do with the chat, with a guest. See if we can make it to the end of this season. How far can we make it? Can we even make it to the buys? Odds say no, but maybe we can do it. Maybe this was the team to do it. And we also got JT Sanders with our last pick. So
yeah, I noticed we got that fall. Yeah, I had a feeling he would probably fall to us there. He's typically, and I don't really think the Trimble news will really do anything for him either. But he's been a target. Obviously, like I said, my Panthers have been a team that I've been targeting a lot late, and he's definitely been a late tight end for me. So
yeah, I'm here for it. I'll always draft a Longhorn when I can. Bit of a homer, so it doesn't hurt. What up, Raphael? How you doing, brother? And copy paste dates in here. Cole Kmet punt. I almost thought about it. This would have been the opportunity to potentially do it. Vitario, which are you actually in this draft too?
Yeah, he's FFB Wizard.
Oh, see, I'm like a step behind.
I was wondering if you knew who that was. I saw you kind of run by.
No, it all comes together.
It is, right?
It's how it is when we all have different names and different things, and it's hard to keep track. But now it makes sense. What up, A-Rod? How we doing? We got Lalsimo in here. All the bros coming out. Appreciate y'all. And then Steve holding it down too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, some good stuff. Who is the wizard? Vitario.
Yep.
Lamola.
Yeah,
He's got Vit in here. So,
dude,
before we do this team review, Sean, I got to ask you 2 questions.
Okay.
And they're intense questions, so prepare yourself.
Uh-oh.
So you're a Tigers fan. You're an LSU guy, right?
I am. Yep.
I got to know more about that because I love a guy that can rep his team. But I always see you got your LSU polo on, and you're always repping. Tell me more about that.
So I was actually born in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Oh, nice. You sounded like you were from Louisiana to me. That's why I mentioned it. You said you're living in Arkansas now, but totally makes sense. I mean, these are all neighboring states to Texas, so I'm well aware of people from people from Louisiana, and
South,
got a bunch of buddies from Lafayette actually.
Okay, yeah. My mom's side of the family was there. Then my dad met my mom. He was doing construction in Louisiana way back in the winds, and obviously they got together. And then my dad's side of the family is from Northeast Arkansas, where I live now. And I mean, I've been here since I was probably 6, probably.
Okay.
But it was always, we'd go every summer. Go down to Louisiana, see the family, visit, stay for a week or so, and
nice.
But yeah, I am a diehard a Tiger fan.
Yeah. That's a good team. I like a strong fan base like that. I can appreciate the culture and being part of like a winning tradition, and then always being there for your team, ups and downs. As a Longhorn, I've seen it all. I've seen the good. I've seen the bad. I saw a lot of the bad when I was, when I was going through it. But
we've all had those years, those stretches where you go 5-6 years of just rough seasons.
Yeah,
I get it, man. I get it. But
so I'm impressed that you let us go with Gibbs. An Alabama running back over Justin Jefferson with the first pick, but
I know
coin flip, so it's
the format too, like we talked about.
We'll talk it up to that, but I won't tell anyone that you didn't draft Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, just let's keep that one in the back pocket. We won't tell anybody. We'll leave that one. We'll leave that one tucked away.
Perfect.
No, I felt like with the format, it was a good pick. It was a good pick. Hopefully hopefully he cruises us right into this tournament and all the way down the line. So,
no doubt. The other question I wanted to ask you, the pressing question, and we'll come back to the Jeopardy stuff because I want to get into that too. The other question was, I noticed a Dak Prescott jersey on one of your avatars. Tell me what's the origin of that, the Dak Prescott.
So I am unfortunately a Cowboys fan, which I say that very loosely these days. Being in the best ball game, you can't really be a fan too hard in the NFL. I learned that a long time ago, not drafting only your favorite players only and often. And, but no, I was, I guess it was probably the 94, 95 years, the Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, the two.
So you were there for it, just time and place. It all made sense.
So yeah, I was living on the street, and I had a good buddy that lived down the road, and he was a Cowboys fan. Well, they threw a Super Bowl party for, I think, the 95 or 94. It was the 94 year. And I went down there, and he invited me over, had a great time, and then became a Cowboys fan after that. So that's kind of the story behind that. Like I say, loosely nowadays more than it was back then. But I do have a Zeke Elliott jersey, so I wear that. I sport that from time to time. But other than that, yeah, I'm a boys fan.
There you go. Yeah, I don't hate on any particular fan base. I think there's some that are a little bit extreme, like the Eagles fans are a pretty rough group. But I got a lot of mutual respect for the Cowboys fans just because I'm around so much of them. But a lot, of course, being a Houston, being a Texans guy, there's people who, and I don't really feel this in the NFL. I feel like the NFL is more camaraderie in my mind. It's college football where you got to hate somebody. That's where
college is where it gets a little brutal at times.
It gets brutal, and I try to be a good fan, but I like the rivalry, the college rivalries, like Texas OU, and then you got name anyone. There's a bunch of good rivalries, right?
And that's the funnest time of the year for us, in my household and with my family, is because half of my family is Arkansas fans and half of my family is LSU fans. So the Arkansas LSU game is always a big one for us. We all get together, talk a bunch of trash to each other, and have a good time. So it's always a fun time.
No doubt. Yeah. Oh, good times. College football, man.
Love it.
I'm obsessed. It's tough for everyone else around me, especially the wife, when it's football all day Saturday and all day Sunday and Monday and Thursday, and sprinkling some of the other weeks.
The Tuesday action going on.
Yeah. My wife's well aware of the phrase, I'm skipping Wednesday night football to hang out with you, because I've tried that one too many times, and she's caught on.
She's caught on. Well, at least you got a good one. It sounds like if she's good with it. So that's definitely the way mine is too. She understands. Hey, she knows what I'm going to be doing. So I'll give her every once in a while. I'll give her one. Give her a Saturday during the day or something. I'll be like, hey, I got to be back. Because most time, she plays in the evening, right? So I usually get those 6 o'clock starts here. So I'll be like, I've got a couple hours. I could do something with you.
Well, let's get it going. Let's get up early on Saturdays.
Let's go get that Target run that you wanted to go do out of the way real quick.
100%. And it's like my wife would be like, remember my friend, they got this party at noon that we're going to go to, and I'm like, well, that's kickoff. So give them my best wishes, and I'll see them next time, because I'm not missing a football game
that's like a rain check.
Rain check. Not going somewhere that is not going to have the game on, and I'm not going to be the guy looking at his phone the whole time either. It's not a good look. But
right. It's always you always got to have if you're gonna have a party at noon on Saturday during the fall, it better be somewhere with a TV. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, there's a low bar to be my friend, but that might be one of the requirements. You gotta be aware of the college football schedule a little bit.
Gotta have it.
Yeah. Perfect, man. So let's I want to let you run through this team. I'll scroll through it, but I want to get your take and kind of give us our team review on this one.
Okay. So 3-6-7-2, 3 cubes. We got all of our quarterback stack, which I think is phenomenal. Caleb, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa. Really, really strong quarterback room. Anyone can really be your lead quarterback on any given week. So I feel like that's probably one of the stronger quarterback rooms probably in our pod, for which I know, again, we're not really exactly podding it up in this format, but solid quarterback group. Running backs, Jameer, which again, we've kind of talked about that pick being our first pick. Judkins, we both shared the enthusiasm for him. So really like that pick. I think he's going to be an early season touch for us and with upside. Scattaboo, I'll say it right this time. Jalen Wright, 2.
I'm sorry, who was that last one?
Scattaboo.
Who was it?
Yeah, that's what I said. Nice. Love
Had
it.
to do it.
Love it. So crazy how good of it.
Sorry to cut you off there.
No, I was not expecting it, but I'm kind of glad it happened. That was good. Yeah, I mean, I was just amazed by how good he was on that grab that he jumped like 3 feet in the air and took it out of the air. Like the guy's, he's so talented, and I
He's
can't wait.
so good. He's going
I
to be
cannot
so good
wait.
in the NFL. He
Yeah,
has to be
yeah,
good.
yeah. You know, I don't. I hate to beat the drum. I've done it multiple times already now, and I know there's. I know Steve is obviously a big one. Meg over at FanSpeak, they're both high on Scatterboo too. But yeah, I honestly feel like he can easily make an immediate impact in that backfield. And
No
we
doubt.
pulled him up here, and honestly, I've been pulling him up too. I don't mind taking him anywhere in the mid-90s, so totally fine with that. I think it's a really good, strong start there with Jameer, Quinshawn, and Scatterboo.
Love
And
it.
then you tacked on Jalen Wright, which Jalen Wright was my highest on running back in pre-draft out of
Was it really?
187 teams. I think I had like 29 or 30%. So I thought, which obviously that was before they drafted Ollie Gordon, but Ollie Gordon, I
Yeah.
was obviously drafting some too, not knowing
Right.
where he was going to land. So totally fine with that because I have a good mixture of both, and I was already higher on Jalen. J.K. Dobbins, I think, is going to be an interesting one. I will say that.
Yep.
I'm really interested to see where he does sign and if he can, be a potential RB2 that can get into some carries. Like, and that's the question. Like, where do you think he might land? Let me ask you that. Like, where would be your ideal landing spot for him?
Ideal for him, in my mind, would honestly probably be the Cowboys or the Chiefs. But I think what's potentially likely could be the Bears. And otherwise, I'm trying to think like,
I know the Bears have been kicked around so much for him. And
yeah,
like over the Memorial Weekend, like there was a lot of rumors going around that he was signing in Chicago. Like I want to say I was on stream or I was watching somebody's stream, and they said that he had went like 40 picks earlier than where his ADP was. Like somebody knew something, and I was just like, I got to check on this. Like this sounds pretty crazy. And then I started seeing a lot more rumors going around, and then nothing ever happened. And I'm like, so where did this all come from? Just somebody really wish casting or what?
yeah,
But I do agree. I do think he will end up somewhere. Who Hangs says somewhere like somewhere we hate like Baltimore. Well, he was in Baltimore to start his career, right? I mean, he was in Baltimore.
totally possible.
Absolutely.
I even wonder what happens if he ends up back in LA. Is that the worst case scenario because it's clogged there with Najee and Hampton? So
Hampton now.
as long as that doesn't happen, I'm kind of convinced he can pay off the ADP because I think he.
And what if he goes to a place like Denver?
Could be. I mean, that'd be a great offensive line for him to be behind. It would hurt Harvey, I think, a little bit. And I'm kind of in the idea right now that Harvey is also like a really good, solid pick and just going to be a talented guy with a great opportunity, a great offensive line, a good offense, and so it might just come together for Harvey. But if Dobbins shows up there, that's probably one of the best spots Dobbins could land.
Yeah,
because maybe you see Harvey.
That would be interesting.
Harvey and Dobbins being kind of the Gibbs Montgomery combo. Though I don't know if that Dobbins is a good comp to Montgomery, but I'm just thinking like a 1-2 punch where they're pretty equal on touches, but one of the guys is definitely more, maybe you could say younger and just more talented. I don't know, but Dobbins has gone through the injury, so that piles up, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we got to give credit where credit is due. Dobbins actually looked pretty decent last year for a guy.
Very good.
We know for the injury history. Obviously, a really good O-line there in LA too, but didn't want to derail the whole conversation. So Marshawn Lloyd been getting a lot of good reports here that he's fully healthy. I think that's a good solid last running back pick. Lad McConkey, Tyreek, DJ Moore, all stacked.
Ooh,
yeah, and that's hard to do. That's really hard to do to get three of your top your three top wide receiver picks off the board. That's pretty tough to get those all stacked up. So nice little weekly floor there, and you got the correlation. So solid there. Cortland Sutton, Rashid Shaheed, Kyle Williams, Jalen McMillan at nearly 200, which is just, I mean, if they come out and right off the bat, I don't want to implore injury on anybody ever, but
right.
Evans, has a hamstring in the first two.
It happens.
If Godwin is not fully ready to go, I mean, I think Egbuka probably might step into a little bit more of the Godwin role, but
Sure.
wait, 3 wide receiver says Jalen McMillan's going to play, right? So getting him there, like we said, while we were drafting, it's like there's zero downside. Then you locked up Laporta as you're kind of your solid elite-ish tight end, and then we tacked on a really decent, I think, pick with Jatavion Sanders. Again, Tommy Trimble is going to start on the pup. I think it's a really solid pick. I think it's a really solid whole draft. I think the whole draft went really well.
It was flying by. I think we pulled it off well. I love the picks that you made to get me off of some of the guys I don't take as much, like getting me a JT Sanders, picking Kyle Williams over Besh, getting Shaheed in here, even going DJ Moore, and even going with Jalen Wright. I mean, these are all guys that I like. I just feel I don't always draft, so it's one of my favorite things about having a guest on is they get me out of my lanes that I've already kind of dug my tracks into and the familiar path. So it's a really fun team. And then, yeah, like you said, when we can get the 3 QBs with the 3 top receivers, it just feels nice. We get the first overall pick with the tight end, kind of a good team bet. And then one thing I was with Scattaboo, I heard an interview with him. It was like I don't know if she's a beat reporter or just a sideline reporter, and she was talking to him, and she brought up the fact that he was the first FBS running back to have over 1,500 rushing yards and over 500 receiving yards in a season since Christian McCaffrey did it.
Oh, wow.
So that's something I heard earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, and I thought that makes a lot of sense. Like, I know from all like his statistical profile is pretty incredible, the broken tackles, yards after contact, his receptions, but then you see him on tape too. And not that I'm like some tape bro or an expert at watching film, but when I saw him play against Texas in that game, I just knew he was the best player on the field at that time in that game. So he's a guy I want on as many squads as I can get. Pick 93, sign me up.
Oh yeah, like I said, anywhere in the mid-90s, totally fine taking him. The guy just bleeds. He's going to leave it on the field every single time he goes out there, and I think he's a coach's dream. Daboll's gonna love having him, and yeah, I totally agree. It's gonna be fun to watch.
No doubt. What do you say we get into one of these new pug drafts?
Let's do a pug. Let's do it.
Only 3 bullets, but I'm feeling good about getting one of those in today. I think maybe Who Hames was saying it, but can we or maybe a strategy would be to do 1 or 2 early and then save 1 for the very end, kind of was getting into.
Right. Yeah, like I said, that's kind of what I've done with the Schnauzer. I've ripped off 19 within like the first, I don't know, week and a half that it was open. And I was sitting there looking at the 1, and it was right when the puppy started getting kind of hot and heavy. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to draft a pup. I'm going to leave that 1 entry. I'm going to leave it till it's like 2% away from filling, and then I'm going to hop in. And I might even do a slow. I'm not a slow drafter. I really don't enjoy doing slow drafts. But I do think if you're going to use it at any certain point, that would probably be the best strategic way to do it. That way you still kind of possibly get more news as it continues to roll on through the slow draft. And obviously it's going to be closing out. So there's nothing else that's going to be coming in either. So, yeah, that might be something I try to do and utilize the slow. But I don't know yet. I might also just say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to rip the fast right at the very end of the contest.
Yeah.
Get the guys at the time that I want then. And obviously it'll be different than what I've already done in the portfolio. So I think it'll be interesting.
I'm a big fan of doing fast. I'm in a bunch of slows right now just for the Schnauzer because that's the only way I was going to be able to max it. I just wasn't making time to get the Schnauzers in. The puppy was still alive, and I've been ripping a lot of Best Ball Manias. I want to do more eliminators. So long story short, I think I'm in let's just say 12 or so slow Schnauzers is what you can see in my active draft pane. And then the only other time I'll rip slow drafts is when I know I'm going to be on vacation or got something planned and maybe I can't draft in that state, or I'm going to be around, too much family or friends or whatever's going on vacation to be just ripping drafts and get, sometimes late at night you can do them, but you also get real tired, maybe out in the sun all day kind of thing. So I'll load up some slows for like a vacay, and then
that makes a lot of
otherwise
sense.
I avoid them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How many BBMs have you done? How many have you got in so far?
Yeah, let's look. I'm around 25, I want to say. something like that. We did 26. So we did the 26 one last night, and then I've done 25. I did 12 or 13 before the schedule, and only one of those teams had an issue with the QB. Yeah, I had Tua and Jaden Daniels as a 2 QB build. So not optimal, but you never know. It still could work out if Jaden Daniels is really that good.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I haven't went back and looked through all of my pre-drafts to see how many bye weeks have screwed me. Which how many BBMs are you planning on doing? Are you going to max it, or are you just going to?
Yeah,
you are. Okay,
definitely.
Are you in the fantasy draft?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your price? What was your price, man?
6,600 was mine, which I think is pretty good value.
That's fair.
It's fair. It's driven by last year's advancement. I only advanced. We looked at it. I think Hartman and I were looking at it a couple nights ago. I only advanced 23 teams out of 150, so I didn't have a stellar year in the advance rate part of it. And then like I was the number 7 or 8 or 9 Nico Collins drafter of in Best Ball Mania. I had 59 Nico Collins teams. So I was telling you, I was taking Nico Collins in the first round.
Yeah. I remember you saying that.
It looked good until he got hurt, but we'll never know. And so I wrote a note in my phone after last season to say no players over 30% exposure in Best Ball Mania, because at the end of the day, even if you get everything right, anyone can get injured. And so just avoiding that injury bug a little bit more intentionally is kind of how I want to play it this year.
Right. And I was also, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something that I was doing like as a whole across the board last year, was that I didn't want to have anybody over 25%. And I really think that I was going about that wrong. I think in a contest like BBM, I think that's a great strategy to do. Don't get too many eggs in one basket.
Sure.
But that's kind of what I'm doing this year in these time boxes, is like I do want to. I want to get as intentional as I can.
Yeah.
Do the news cycles, get the guys in that I feel the strongest about at that time, and then just kind of let the cards fall where they may. But yeah, I totally agree. Like a contest like BBM that's going to be open all draft season long, like I wouldn't care to be as intentional. I would be playing more ADP value, be playing more structure, construction style than anything as far as like getting my guys. Like I think that would be, and I probably won't get in more than probably 50 or 75 BBMs.
Sure.
I usually try to target all the lower ones. I got in 61 of the pups. That's my target, is to get in between 50 to 75 of those lower volumes, and obviously max all the 20 maxes and the 3 maxes and all that stuff. So
gotcha. No, that's what you said there is real smart. I think that's a sharp way to come at it, and makes a ton of sense too. The difference between the summer long contest and the time box contest. That's good. If you got an edge in the moment, take advantage. That's why I just kind of draft whenever I feel like I'm in the zone. There's some nights where I'll try to rip, or some days where I'm ripping, half a dozen drafts, and I'm feeling it. I'm seeing the matrix.
Right.
I'm living the ADPs kind of thing. I know where all the right picks are and turns are. And then other days, just kind of feel kind of out of it. But so far it's been a good start to the summer, and I'm feeling pretty good about these drafts. So I think that last team we did felt real good.
Yeah.
Excited to do this pug. We're still waiting on one more. And then I want to give a quick shout out to looks like Jim's joining in. We got Nick Bach joining in, my man. And then I'm going to pull up this question from B-Dog, because I love answering these kind of questions. The draft is about to kick off. I'm going to go close my office door, but let's pull open this question from B-Dog, and then I'll let Sean take a crack at it. And then you guys in the chat as well, let us know your dynasty take for B-Dog. I'll be back in 10 seconds.
Okay. B-Dog says, guy in my dynasty league, so we're playing dynasty, is offering me Brees and Douglas. I'm going to assume that's Pop Douglas for New England. For Jalen McMillan, Jalen Coker, Jalen Royals, Javonte Williams, and my first rounder PPR. Is this full point PPR or is this half point? I'm guessing it's full point. I'm going to assume. Man, this is really tough, because although I love the Brees Hall get, and especially in Dynasty, I don't know if Douglas is enough of another piece to get off of McMillan's a young receiver. Coker's is a young receiver. Royals is a rookie. Javonte Williams is probably not a guy in Dynasty I'm looking to just be over the moon about. And then your first rounder, to me, it sounds like you're giving up just a little too much. But I'll let Candyman take his crack at this and see what he thinks.
That's a lot. I like to make trades that are less parts than that. That's a lot of parts to keep track of. But he's given you Brees. Douglas to me is a 0, so I'll just say that right out. Especially if it's not a best ball dynasty league, Douglas is not startable. For your Jalen McMillan, Coker, both of those guys are fringe flexes, so they're kind of 0s to me as well. I'm very strict on dynasty leagues where you're forced to start guys versus best ball dynasty leagues. And it's PPR, but let me know if it's a best ball. If it's a best ball, it's slightly different because then you can actually use your bench. If you can't use your bench, I don't see any point in having any depth. Jalen Royals, I'm not psyched on. Javonte Williams, not psyched on. But your first, to me, this whole trade could be isolated down to Brees Hall for a first. I just don't know the going rate right now of Brees Hall. I'd have to check in on I've got some dynasty ranks. Like Bindles has some great dynasty ranks. You can find them in his Discord. If you join Bindles Discord, he gives out his dynasty ranks for free. I can check those in a second after we make this pick or two and get back. But what this comes down to for me, almost the whole trade is just Brees for a first. And so maybe if you need Brees, but also a first is kind of hard. Shouldn't be trying to trade your first, most of the time, I guess, unless you get a steal for it. But Brees is pretty interesting.
Unless you're really running back needy at the same point, right? And
Brees is young. He's 23. He's very talented.
Yeah.
So let me just do a quick refresh here. And then I think it's just I have the let me go ahead and take off the week 15 correlation. I think that'll help with us seeing the teams. I can take off the week 15. There we go. So
I'm good with Amon-Ra or Nico. Or
I love them both. Let's go Amon-Ra, you think?
I think Amon-Ra is totally fine.
Love him.
Yeah.
What do you have? He has the second most catches in the league last year behind Jamar Chase. He's been consistently the guy, the best offense, arguably. So can't go wrong, right?
Right. And I'll be honest, I'm not fully on CMC either. So that's me. But I know Nick, I was on Nick's stream last Friday, and he was trying to talk me into 1.01 CMC, and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not getting there. But,
Nick has some interesting takes. He definitely likes his guys and likes to make some bold strategies. He's a fun drafter, good guy. So
we got a lot of sharp folks in this draft here. You got Nick at the 1, Steve at the 2. You got Jim at the 3. You got FFB Wizard at the 4. Unsavory is a guy that I know from Twitter. Like you said, the Latomsky you had in the last draft. I'm guessing he's probably a reg of the stream. A lot of the regs
in here. Yep, I've definitely seen Legion a bunch. Like you said, we got Veet in the 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, even the 2. Bunch of guys got the world famous Huron River Rat in the 10 spot. So we got to watch out for that. Bunch of good throws in here.
Be some snaps going on, won't it? Yeah.
We'll see.
It's a fun room. It's going to be a fun room. It's going to be a tough room.
It's going to be a tough room. Guys, in the chat, let me know if you're drafting with us in this one. Is it your first pug, your second pug, or your third? Because it's just kind of a fun thing to know. This is our first, but throw a 1, 2, or 3 in the chat if you're in this room, and we can tell kind of what pug you're on. Not that it makes much of a difference competitively, but it's just kind of fun to know. Sean,
definitely BTJ. Yeah,
it's got to be BTJ, right?
It's BTJ. Yeah,
it's him. You could consider Bowers, right? But to me, it's BTJ every time.
Yeah, it's BTJ for me.
You can just blow up a week and be the wide receiver 1 in a given week. Yeah, Bowers is good too, but I'm excited about BTJ.
I mean, I'm taking Bowers generally when he falls a little bit later.
Sure.
I've got him ranked right around 18, so for the most part. Okay. I'm looking for him at like 18 or better. So, yeah, BTJ is definitely going to be the pick there for me.
I should have fixed my keyboard. I keep forgetting that it's not working because I just don't have it plugged in. I'll have to deal with that later. But I've got Bowers, my ranks at 16. But I honestly don't always take him there. I'll take other guys ahead of him, like whatever I'm feeling. AJ Brown or A-Chain.
I've been taking a lot more A-Chain lately myself. I think I've got him ranked at 14 right now in my ranks, so I've been pulling him up. But that was also because wasn't exactly fading him pre-draft, but I didn't have a lot at all, and I kind of changed my stance on that. Started taking some more, but
Good.
Most of this is first pug for most of the folks in the draft too, so that's interesting. I haven't even touched it yet, so this is my first as well, so this is gonna be interesting.
Nice. Yeah, so B-Dog Steve, who I would I take his opinion very highly, especially in Dynasty and best ball, any fantasy. He was kind of giving you the case here. Wouldn't give up 3 young contingent wide receivers in a first for him. So that's a pretty good good information.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was kind of my line of thinking. I was like, that's a lot. Those are younger wide receivers. You're talking Dynasty. That's giving up quite a bit, which I don't play Dynasty. That's why I was like, I don't really like.
But you're in the information flow. You're around football 24/7, so you've got a good insight on just kind of what makes sense to you. It's always good to get differing opinions, and I think once you get in the Dynasty echo chamber, it honestly, your opinion I'm best ball bros, but your opinion can kind of get cloudy in there. You become ageist. You become focused on you think James Conner's worthless because he's 30, and I'm just like, come on, man. There's a lot of times where it's just win, pick good players,
Exactly, and that's why it's funny because you say that because that is how a lot of the rankings seem to be shaped, is more Dynasty focused, and that's where you get a lot of those nice value pockets where they're just lower on guys because of their age or because of whatever they feel like the Dynasty outlook for it is. So yeah, it's interesting.
This next pick we've got coming up. So we started with Amon-Ra, Brian Thomas. Like I said, I love starting with pairs of wide receivers. It just seems so elite. We'll figure out later.
Chase Brown falls pretty good. I don't think I can pass that up right now.
I don't mind it at all. Kyron and Brees both go ahead of him. I think these 3 guys are pretty similar to me.
Yeah. He's usually going in like the 27, 28. So getting him at 33 feels like a pretty nice steal there.
Yeah, I'm in for it.
I don't have a lot of Chase Brown, and that's mainly because when I have gotten him, it's because he's fallen like that. And I was like, I usually try to take it whenever it comes because it doesn't come very often. So
we're in a good spot for it. I think we'll have some other good running back options at 57 and 64. And then again, even at 81, 88, maybe 88. We'll see. That's kind of where it gets kind of a little bit thinner.
Right.
But our QB options are going to be later.
Right.
Pretty solid there. I'd say we keep hammering wide receiver, and then we'll see. We'll see if we get lucky and something falls to us in these kind of next 4 picks. But I'm feeling wide receiver here coming up.
Yeah, especially since you got the fall on Chase, you can definitely go back to wide receiver now. Because obviously you don't need a elite quarterback. And
all of the elite QBs are there. I typically like to build more of a middle to late QB team.
Especially because wide receivers dry up so quick, man.
Yeah.
They dry up really quick.
And I think in this kind of a 3 max contest, I'd be more interested in stacking my top wide receivers the best I can, rather than doing the alternative, which is taking an elite QB with these elite wide receivers and then not taking a Goff or a Lawrence, instead.
Yeah. I feel like you're losing a ton of draft capital in a 3 max if you're taking an elite quarterback that's not stacked for one, and especially guys like Josh Allen and Lamar, guys that you don't really need to stack either. But for the fact that you want, like the way you started, it's a better build to wait.
With so do you? I think I saw you were drafting off your ranks too. You keep your own ranks updated?
Yeah, I just redid them on Friday. I think.
Nice.
I think I redid them on Friday. I hadn't done them since the schedule dropped. And
okay.
Yeah, when I was going through, I was like, "Whew, man!" There's definitely some big changes.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I typically try to update them. Obviously, it'll start becoming more mainstream and more common once we get closer to like camp season. We get more info on rookies. We get more info on, solid wide receiver 2 and 3s. Right now it's basically I'm just getting anywhere after I'd say, like pick 125, 150. I'm essentially being really aggressive with my ranks, getting the guys that I feel the most comfortable with in those later rounds. Because I feel like it's really the way you need to be doing it right now anyway.
100%. I like that. That's fun. I have been a rankings drafter ever since I started getting into these contests and they allowed you to upload your own rankings, which I think they started doing that in 2023, if I remember correctly. Maybe they did it before that, but I thought I remembered that summer is when they were like made a big deal of like, oh, now you get your own rankings.
Yeah.
Maybe they did it before that, but I don't remember 100%. Maybe I just can't remember before that. But ever since kind of the summer of 2023, I've been uploading my own rankings, and then I just update them whenever I feel like it. If I hear someone sharp say something, if I hear a news article, I make a tweak, and then I try to keep a log of ADPs and changes and things in a Google sheet that I've got. So I try to just kind of be aware of what's going on and try to, I'm very open to changing my ranks. Like I'll have a player thing, but maybe I shouldn't fade a certain player 3 rounds. Maybe I'll just fade him 1 round or 2 rounds, or maybe I just fade him to the end of a tier or just the end of the cliff of that position group. But sometimes it doesn't even matter if you have like a tight end and then you rank him behind 4 other receivers. It's like, well, he's still the same tight end you would have taken next. So like sometimes it doesn't really matter. So I don't update every single one position, like one pick, but I like to stay on top of it. I think it's fun.
And that makes a lot of sense. And I will say, I would say this year, I did my ranks just a couple of times last year. Really kind of drafted more off of ADP. But, I told myself that I wanted to get a little bit more into it this year. Wanted to, because I'd really started hammering out the news cycles last year and just really starting to pay attention to the whole thing as a macro instead of just focusing on micro. So yeah, I've done my ranks quite a few times now since this year started. And obviously we started drafting a lot. I started drafting a lot sooner. I started drafting in February, which I'm sure you probably did too. Yep. So it was like I knew I wanted to base it off of what I liked already. And I know we're on the clock, so I'll let you let's see what we got. I'm pretty bullish on Harvey. I do like Kamara as well. You can see my ranks about Harvey at 49 and Kamara at 51. If we go by ADP, it's probably still Harvey, and then you can consider let's just do Harvey here, and then we got a nice value on the ADP, even though he's been falling just a little bit lately. I still think it's a good pick there. No, I like it. I think it's a real good pick. I would say Harvey's plenty fine there.
And then, shout out to we got Paul here in the 7 hole. Appreciate you hopping in, my man. And I've definitely seen your name around the Legio, or I think of it as Legion, but the red, the badge, the tomahawk or faux hawk, mohawk. I've definitely seen you in a bunch of rooms before, so I appreciate you stopping by and saying what's up. He's saying it's his second pug, and almost got burrowed to him in the 6-7 turn in his first one. Higgins drafter took Daniels and then took Burrow as a QB2. One thing I've been on the whole train of like, let's push Burrow, but I did a little bit of looking into it last week with Billy Jones. A week ago, he was on the stream, and we kind of came to the same conclusion at the same time when we were drafting out of the 2 spot. It's like, if you just look at the players that go at pick, let's just say this 47 to 50 range versus this 71 to 74 range, and one of them's got to have to be Burrow, but then you get like the option of like one other player swap for if you took Burrow in the 4-5 or you took him in the 6-7, right. There's almost no difference in the teams. So what we came to the conclusion of was like, it's almost never worth it to push Burrow. You might as well just make the picks and then you get more Burrow stacks, because having missing out on a Burrow chase team or a Burrow T team is honestly maybe worse for your portfolio than pushing them, and getting it 10 or 20% of the time.
Yeah. And obviously I lean more towards, if you've got both of them, if you've got Chase and T, take Burrow. Like, don't push it.
Would you want to go Connor? I took Addison, but
No, I think Addison. After you took Harvey with getting Chase Brown, I think wide
Yeah,
receiver is probably the stronger bet there.
I've got a
Yeah,
big bag of James Conner. I'm like, I'm really in on him. But we did just grab Harvey, and then the Addison correlation with the Monreal in week 17 is kind of hard for me to pass up, especially when
right.
Addison's a decent value. Yes, he's gonna miss 2 or 3 games, but I think our wide receivers can carry us past that suspension. And then when he comes back, he's always been a guy that's scoring touchdowns, putting up big, booming weeks. And I still
Yeah,
think the Vikings are a great offense, so I want a piece.
yeah, and he benefits a lot from Justin Jefferson. You know, getting the covers that he gets. So I'm a big fan of Jordan Addison, and that would have been my pick too. I have quite a bit of Jordan Addison, so I totally agree there. But yeah, you know, the whole pushing Burrow thing, it seems to get a lot of attention. It has gotten a lot of attention.
I've done it.
I mean, yeah, like I said,
After I landed it, I realized it wasn't worth it.
if I just have Jamar Chase, I'll push it. I'll push it every time. But if I land Jamar Chase and then come back with T Higgins in the third round, more than likely I'm going to be taking him in the next turn. Like
I've kind of come around to the idea that I don't actually want Jamar Chase and T Higgins on the same team because
and that's fine. Yeah, that's fair.
it's just I love them both, but it just seems like if I imagine week 17 and what team wins, is it really going to be a Burrow double stack or is it going to be one or the other? So I don't know. I go back and forth, but for some reason in the last like 2 weeks, or maybe even shorter than that, I've just been kind of in this mindset where it's like I probably don't want them both on the same team.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you're looking at Joe Burrow, and I think the biggest con that people are saying about taking him where he's going is because he's not a runner.
Yeah,
but he is a pure pocket passer. So
you're chasing the career high in touchdowns, but he's it gets priced in a little bit.
Right. So with that being said, I guess that's why I put a little bit more emphasis on the having both Chase and I'm not saying I want to have a ton. I don't want to have that combo like more than a few times.
Sure. Yeah.
But I do think that it does have a lot of value to have both of them simply because they both could go off any given week. And if you're talking about week 17, they're playing Arizona? Isn't it Arizona?
Yep.
Not really a great defense. Could turn into easily a shootout. We know Cincinnati's defense is terrible. So yeah, sure. I don't mind it, but again, I don't want to have a ton of it at all.
One way I like to think about it, and there's a lot of contests and different things in different types of contests and different drafts, but strictly from a Best Ball Mania perspective, if you do 150 Best Ball Mania teams, you're only going to get 12.5 teams of any first round player. So you're only going to get 12 and a half Jamar Chase teams. If you're lucky, you get a little bit more.
Right.
But how many of those 12 do I want with T? How many of those 12 do I want with Burrow? How many of those 12 do I want without T and without Burrow? How many of those 12 do I want with T and then not getting Burrow because I push him? And the answer is 0. Like I would never want to have T and Jamar Chase and then miss out on Burrow. So then pushing him there is kind of crazy. But
I have had it and missed out on him, and it wasn't because
Judkins is still here, and I don't think we can pass on the value. It's only a few picks past ADP, but I've got him ranked way higher at 61.
And there's really nobody else in this range that I think makes more sense than Judkins. So totally agree taking Judd there. I do like Hawkins. I do like Hawkinson, and he does. Which we already have a Minnesota piece, but
doesn't hurt to get 2.
No, it doesn't, considering it is that game. But yeah, I think Judkins was the easy pick there.
Easy, yeah. For you and I, who are both in on him, and then we get him past ADP. Maybe it's the ETR coming out and saying this week that hey, rookies are going to fall. Leone comes out and says, hey, rookies are falling. Maybe people are letting the rookies fall just a little bit more, but I'm here to scoop them up. I've always been high on rookie and sophomore players every year. Right. It's a fault, but I'll keep doing it.
Yeah, I will say, like in the prior years, I wasn't as heavy on rookies. I have been a lot more heavier taking rookies this year. Just feel like there's way too much value in the rookies going into this season. I feel like they're going to take up a lot of spots, and I feel like a lot of them are going to have a very early impact. So yeah. I've definitely been heavier on them this year, and I don't mind taking 6, 7, 8 in a single draft. I mean, I've done it multiple times, and I don't mind it at all.
So I considered Ayuk there. This is where my rankings kind of fall apart because I honestly like Downs a little bit ahead of Ibuka, but I like them both. I could even, I mean, it's a little bit early for Higgins. I don't love Cup, but I'm not afraid to take him. I just haven't been taking him as much. You think we just go Hawkinson here and then we feel pretty good?
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, I think you could just take Hawk. You've already kind of got your week 17 stack there with the Monra and Jordan, and then him. So, felt like getting that little extra piece in there is pretty good. Plus, it gives you your solid first side in. So, I think that's
our next. No, yeah, our next picks will be 105 and 112. I'm trying to look for who's got the pieces of Detroit, and so I see JMO here at pick 37 actually. So that's pretty scary. That
and Laporta is right there. Yeah, Laporta.
He does have Mahomes, but we'll see. He's got some other options. He's not forced to take Burrow, but he's gonna. Goff. But he's gonna have 2 bites of the apple to get Goff at the 8 and 9. So I might consider taking Goff at the 105 instead of pushing him to 112. To me, it's not much of a difference. Just to secure the stack with the Monroe, especially in the 3 max contest.
I mean, I wouldn't even mind pushing it, and because you can probably still get JJ later. If you want to just do that. I mean, I know you probably do want to stack Monroe, but you can easily stack up the other 2 and have your double with Addison and Hawkinson, which I think is definitely viable too.
The Trevor Lawrence pick, I think we'll be able to get him at 129 pretty easily. Yeah. The Hunter drafter was over here in the 3 spot. He doesn't have a QB yet, but he would have to take Lawrence at 123. Maybe he does it, but I don't
know how high Jim is on T-Law. I'm not sure. Jim.
Oh yeah, it just registered with me. That's Jim who's in the chat. We saw him earlier. It's this thing though. It doesn't click for me until it clicks, and yeah.
I don't know how high he is on T-Law. He might be. I don't know. Which he did take Hunter. So, but I still think we got plenty of quarterback options that don't have to necessarily pull them up.
Yeah.
But at the same point, thinking this is a 3 max,
there goes Baker.
There goes Mayfield. That you kind of do want to get. Jim says he does like T-Law. So.
Well, we'll see. It's on.
But I mean, you essentially got 3 quarterbacks here that you could wait on. If depending on what's on the board, still obviously too. You got a 3-4-1 start. Could easily still take another wide receiver and get shored up at your wide receiver room. Even running back is not a bad look, depending on where these quarterbacks are.
So Fields is an option. I'm not saying we do it, but just going to put it there in case. Goff, I think, on the way. Or no, were we thinking we just take Goff here because of the JMO drafter, right?
You could. I mean, you could absolutely pull Goff up.
Is it worth trying to get Najee or trying to get any of these guys? I don't think so.
No, I would say it's either. Yep, I'd say I wouldn't mind taking Goff here.
I'm going Goff because I want the stack with the Monroe. We made a bet on a Monroe. I want to double down. We've already got the bringbacks. It's too easy. We can still get McCarthy later. I think he's still a good pick. But now the pressure's off. And then now we don't have to worry about the T-Law being make or break. And if Fields is still there, maybe we go Fields, maybe we go to Najee, and then.
Yeah. And I was going to say, how do you feel about doing the Week 17 stack of quarterbacks? Is that something you've?
So I think in a 3 QB build, I like it better. In a 2 QB build, it's a little bit risky just putting all your eggs in one basket of one game. But at the end of the day, I can only see this Minnesota and Lions game going one way. And I'm so convinced that it's going to be a great game for fantasy that I don't even want to, entertain that it's going to be like a 9-12 scoring game or something ridiculously bad.
Right.
So I'm just going to stay that it's a good game. And I'm going to keep drafting it. Like I said, I think the Lions are
probably I say that because I think it was last year.
Ravens Texans?
Yeah, Justin Herzig. Well, he just in general, stacking your 2 Week 17 quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's slightly.
He did kind of a little bit of a data dive on it, and you're kind of negatively correlating in a way.
Right.
Of course, you could shoot the moon. You can absolutely do that. But you're also if both of the if one of them if they both have great games, you're kind of, which I guess you could be kind of angling it where you're taking it away from somebody else too. But yeah, I think his overall like thesis was it's kind of counterintuitive in a way. You got Fields, you got running backs or not, you could take Sharps.
Do you like Tootin?
I'm a Sharps guy. I think Sharps is a better click. I've made it a lot more. I'm not exactly Tootin guy where he's going now. So that I took a lot in like the late 200s whenever he first, in pre-draft. I have made the click a few times since he's been hyped up. But I think there's going to be a mess in that backfield. And I've been taking the ETN fall lately. Not so much the tank, but I have been buying the dip on ETN. So I don't know. I'm not just overly hyped about any of those three backs, but I'm kind of interested to see how it's gonna fall too. So
I go back and forth. I think I was saying last night that last night we did take Tootin over Charbonnet, and I think it was with the Brian Thomas team. Maybe it was because we were kind of doing the T-Law thing, but I'd go back and forth. Like Charbonnet was great when he was filling in for Kenneth Walker last season, but Kenneth Walker was injured. Maybe the Seahawks are going the wrong direction. Their offensive line is maybe not so good. Maybe with Sam Darnold, they're just not a good team. The offensive coordinator, maybe it doesn't all click. So there's a lot of like different moving parts. And I think Charbonnet is a little bit more contingent. I think he's super talented. I wish he was on like a better team or in a better role, or he wasn't competing with Ken Walker, who is.
And there's been so much trade talk too. Like,
yeah, there's time. He could. I mean, who knows? Maybe Ken Walker.
If either one of them gets moved and they go to a needy team, it's going to be wheels up. And yeah, I mean, for the one part, like Kenneth Walker's injuries haven't just been your regular injuries. It feels like he's like, it's always like ones that are just the most off the wall injuries, and they're more severe than your regular everyday, injury. So Sharps, he's been, I've got a lot of him. He played, like you said, was very well.
Yeah. So you're just a fan of Sharps. I like it.
I'm a Sharps fan. I think that he deserves a lead role. I think he would be really good in it. And I think he's going to get a chance sooner rather than later.
He was my most drafted running back when he was coming out of college out of UCLA. And he just didn't really pan out as a rookie because of the opportunities.
Because of where he fell. And I totally get that. So like I said, I guess maybe I'm wish casting a little bit, hoping that he or K-Dub will get moved. But we'll see.
So T-Log goes, no lies there. We can still play it through McCarthy, which I think is fine. Otherwise, we're still feeling pretty good with what we've got. Loveland's falling a bit here, and I'm way in on Loveland, so I'd be entertaining that.
I don't mind that. The bye weeks don't match, so yeah, I'm completely fine taking Loveland on the fall there.
ADP wise, Warren could also be there, although we don't have the stack at Jacksonville anymore. And then McCarthy, we don't have to worry about Justin Jefferson drafter, so we're gonna be able to get McCarthy on the next pick. So I think
take Loveland here. I think Loveland's more than fine right here.
And I totally agree with the point you brought up about having two QBs in the same game. I think I had also seen, and if you said it was Herzig, then that's probably what I had seen too. I couldn't remember who had put it out, but I knew it was slightly negative EV and slightly bad. I think, there's two ways I can counter argue that would be small sample sizes of this type of game, this best ball tournament that we're doing. Right. And then maybe it is just a great shootout game and then it doesn't hurt. But also, you never know. Maybe some of the analysis was done and the QBs who were playing each other in those games were just different archetypes. I think the archetype with Justin Jefferson, at least, or sorry, not Justin Jefferson, with JJ McCarthy is we haven't really seen his full potential yet. And the people who know him, I think of like Thor Nystrom and others who really followed his career and are following him, guys who are big Michigan guys. And maybe they're a little bit of homers, but they're really in on JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, and I'll be flat out honest. Like I took a lot of JJ early in pre-draft, like a lot. He was probably one of my top 5 highest owned quarterbacks, and it's not that I'm not taking him anymore. It's just that he never really falls. Like He never really falls. He's either even always taken by, like, he's got just three good pieces there: J-Jet, with Hawkinson, and with Addison, that he literally always goes to one of those guys quick before, they take him early. But yeah, I'm very much in on JJ McCarthy as well.
So I think in this build so far, we've got this 2-4-4-2. We spent a lot at tight end and a pretty good amount at running back. Obviously, we only have 4 wide receivers, but they are just all really
studs.
good.
Yep.
Yeah, studs. And so we've got some ground to make up at wide receiver. Maybe we end up with like could be an 8 wide receiver build. We don't have to take another QB, but if there's something that makes sense, maybe we can get to work, and we'll just kind of play it from there. But so far, I like this one, especially since we secured the Viking side and the Lions side of that game. So now we're just betting on that game, and I think we've made a strong bet. Can we land this plane and figure out all the rest of the pieces?
Yeah, that's what Steve was just saying in the chat, that he gets that McCarthy doesn't fall. He really doesn't. But I think that's just more of a product of the whole environment, the whole offensive environment, and we do think that it's going to be good. And KOC, he's a great OC, a great head coach, and it's just their offense have just been good. I mean, they've been good. So thinking that he comes in and makes it a lackluster offense is kind of, and they could be. I mean, we don't know. We don't know how good he'll be, but just like you mentioned a second ago, with all the guys that are like the Thor, that's been, really heavy on McCarthy, which there are quite a few. The guy was just a straight winner in college. He was just a winner in high school. Everywhere he went, he won.
He's a stud. He's a great golfer.
And he's got sneaky rushing upside too.
Yes.
That was one other thing that put me onto him too. I was like, man, I want running quarterbacks, and he was going so late. And it's like everybody's worried about the knee, which of course it came off the knee.
That's what I'm hearing. People who hate on him, they're like, hey, is he really going to rush all this upside now that he has had this knee problem? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I guess that is a new factor in the equation, but at the end of the day, he's still a young guy. He'll recover well from it. At least you hope he would.
Yeah, I mean, what is he? 20? How old is he? 24-ish, 23?
I want to say he's like 22. I don't know for a fact, but he's like 22, 23.
I was going to say he can't be older than 23.
He's young enough. We definitely need to look at wide receivers.
Yeah.
I still like Pierce. It's a little bit early, but otherwise by ADP, there's not really any good options. We could pivot back to running back. It's Tank is there, Eckler. You got any strong takes? Or do you want to get a QB and then figure it out later with one of these guys?
I think I'm fine with, I like Bryce, but
I get it. We took Pierce. It's all right.
Honestly, I was leaning Pierce anyways, which I was going to say Romeo Dobbs, but we've kind of already kind of got behind at wide receiver, but not that we're behind. It's just that quantity-wise. But
I like Pierce a lot. So
I like Pierce because I think he's got big playability. We've seen that. We're all expecting that it's going to be Daniel Jones.
I didn't get that ticket. We could have gotten – the only reason I didn't want to get Penix is there's no way to play Penix with the stack or anything. So have a good connection.
Right. And Young, there's so many late pieces. That's really why I've fallen on it. Not so much why I've only fallen on him so much lately. It's just for the simple fact that he showed some rushing ability, and especially around the goal line last year. Obviously, everybody thinks that that's unsustainable, which is fine. He's not really a rushing mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
We know that.
Some people say he's sneaky good at running the ball, and he had some knee injuries and things. But I don't like Kyle Pitts at all, and we've already got 2 really, really good tight ends. We spent a lot of tight ends, so this is not a 3 tight end build in my mind. So it wouldn't have been Penix and Pitts on this. It just wouldn't have worked out.
Right. If I'm taking Penix, it's mainly because I've got London or I've got Mooney. I'm not,
or even Bijan, but mostly Mooney and London.
Yeah, right. And honestly, I'm not. I don't have a ton of Bijan. I take
Gibbs. I have Gibbs ranked over him. I don't know if you do, but
most of the time I'm taking wide receiver there. I'm taking J-Jet or I'm taking that's a CD. Those are really mostly my 2 that I'm taking at 3-4. I have mixed in Bijan, but it's not very, very often.
Do you think we should try to take one of these QBs now and figure it out later? There's some rookie options with Cam Ward, Stafford. We could get some late options at like a 2-2 or something. It's not that strong of a connection.
What's at wide receiver?
Yeah, let's look there. You like Dobbs earlier. I like Pat
I think
Bryant. Would you
I
go
think Dobbs
Dobbs?
is I like Dobbs. I think it'd be nice to tack on just one more wide receiver. I think our running back room is great. I think we're good at quarterback. I think we're obviously good at tight end. I think you could push the quarterback one more round and get that wide receiver, to be
I like
honest.
that. Might as well get some more depth. Dobbs is a starter. We'll get him right at ADP. Maybe he gets traded. Who knows? But
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I lean more to hoping that he gets traded. You
do you have
know,
any ideal spots? Have you thought that through? Like to what could happen? Who needs a wide receiver that might want his type?
right. Not, you know,
So
I know
I'll just think off the top of my head, and I'll give you a second to think about it too. Is uh,
I said the Niners back when. I said the Texans back when.
but now they've maybe the
But
Niners could still be in the market. I
I
guess.
saw a rumor that the Niners were looking at Keenan Allen because the fact that Brandon Ayuk, there's a chance that he might not return by week 7 or week 8.
Yeah.
And in Steve just said the Jets. Jets is an interesting one. Steelers don't really have a wide receiver too now. Good call there too. Although I hate both quarterback situations. I mean, I like Fields. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I would much rather see him go to like a Brock Purdy or a CJ Stroud, or which obviously the Texans aren't really probably trading for any wide receivers now, considering they
Probably
got
not.
2 in the draft. But the Niners would be interesting. Would be really interesting.
Yeah, guys in the chat, we got Steve and Hartman saying Jets. The Steelers could be another one.
Yeah,
It'd be interesting. I saw Calvin Austin taking the most reps at wide receiver at practice for the Steelers. I guess DK is not there right now.
you got to think they probably add somebody else.
They probably should add someone
They're
else.
so thin at wide receiver right now. You got to think which I saw Robert Woods was taking meaningful reps today for the Steelers, and I'm just like, is this really what they're going to do? Like, no quarterback, no wide receiver room. They're just going to Arthur Smith run the F out of the ball. I guess it's really, I guess, their mantra right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, if they could just do that, they could just run it a lot and then throw it deep on some crazy play action and make it work. Who's going to be the quarterback? Is it going to be Rodgers? Is it going to be?
That's what everybody keeps saying.
The Pennsylvania native Will Howard could do that. He's
Right.
a winner. He's a national champ. So could he do it?
Yeah. I've seen some Will Howard propaganda too, which is interesting.
Kind of fun.
It would be interesting. Yeah, somebody just said Roman Wilson. Of course, Roman Wilson had a.
Oh, son of a bitch! We got sniped on Richardson. That's all right. We can make it work. Either we go Daniel Jones later, or just stop at 2 QBs.
I mean, we've got Sharbs. Would be able to take Darnold there if we wanted to.
We could, and then we could figure it out with. There's some other options. Do you want to take Keenan Allen here?
Yeah, we could do Keenan Allen. I was going to say a late stack that I've been doing with Darnold is also taking MVS.
Yep.
But you could do that, and then Arroyo has been getting a lot of good, which we don't need a tight end. So
I remember on one of your recent streams, you were talking a lot about Arroyo and then some of those options, and I do like him. I want to figure out ways to get him in on more builds, but just for this one with the 2 tight ends, I don't think we need one more.
Yeah. No, that's what, but more than the lines of like an MVS, like another guy that's kind of like a Shaheed, obviously,
or even Torrey Horton. I like him. Obviously, he's a rookie. He's got to prove it. He's got to win over a job or two, but kind of a fun flyer.
Yep, I agree. But yeah, like to that point, I think Darnold gives you a lot of those back stacks, even Tyler Shuck, but he kind of miss a lot of his other options, and we don't need tight end. So, which Juwan would be obviously the one that I'd look at with the Shuck. But yeah, but Sam Darnold there's a lot of people that are really worried about him getting benched, and I don't really feel that way. I don't either.
think
Milroe is ready to be a starter.
I don't think he has a risk of getting benched really, but
no,
they could just be like not good enough for fantasy. But maybe it's real football and fantasy football are so different. You could have a bad real football year and still be good for fantasy. And I think Darnold's proven that in his own career.
And he's also got decent rushing too. I mean, he can run. He can use his legs too. So I think he's definitely got some decent upside in the rush game too. And like we said, there's a lot of late guys you can take with Seattle too that give you some wide receiver depth at the end.
Sometimes Coker falls too. That could be, you don't have to bring back for that game, but it could be a way. I think you want to go ahead and pull the trigger on Sam here.
Totally fine with that. Yep.
We got the Sharps at least.
Shore up. Yeah, you shore up. You got a piece. You shore up, your quarterback room. I think you're still fine here taking one more running back, and then you've kind of gotten your tight end rooms already secured. So now you can play around with, what do you want as far as, and we've got what, 3, 4, 7, 2.
Yeah, 3, 4, 7.
2 picks left.
2 picks.
Yeah, I personally would probably go one running back, one wide receiver.
Yeah, I think so too. And so we're probably not going to get the Coker bring back, but maybe he's not there. Maybe we don't need it. It's probably going to be, let me go ahead and just type in Seahawks again, and then we load up and see.
Like MVS, Torrey Horton, either one. What kind of running backs are you looking at? I think probably next pick would probably be a running back, considering we can probably wait on all those Seattle guys.
And I like the way we've done this, though. We took the running backs early, but then we stopped, and now we're going to come back to it. And I think 5, it's a little thin if you're worried about these rookies. But the way that I think about Quinshawn and Harvey is like, I'm not worried.
No, honestly, I'm totally fine just taking one more and being done. I think like Woody Marks is an interesting guy who could probably have some upside and maybe earlier than later. Corum,
are you out on Corum?
The Jarquez stuff has really got me just like where I don't want to take either one of them. That's me. Taj Brooks obviously is a guy that I've been targeting a ton, but we do have Chase Brown. Don't really feel the need to have both. That.
Yeah,
trust me, he was one of the first one I saw, and I was like, oh shit, we already have Chase Brown.
I wonder because he's essentially free.
Yeah,
is that a case where you wouldn't mind locking down a backfield? The only problem is, are you actually locking down the backfield? Or are you just getting the RB1?
I don't love trying to lock down a Week 17 backfield simply because you're betting on it to be an all-run game. And although it could turn out to be that way, I don't think I'd want to bet it to be that way. You know what I mean?
I'll unclick Brooks. He just didn't fit this team. I'm thinking we're coming up on this next pick quickly. Do you have a strong lean for the receiver, or do you want to go running back first?
I think we go running back because I think either one of those wide receivers is going to be there after. I don't know that ETN makes a lot of sense. He's essentially the RB3 on his team. That'd be the bring back option. Miles Sanders for the veteran option. I heard Jacob Sanders talking about him a little bit, and then Ollie Gordon's there. Otherwise, it's Jerome. I think you go ahead and take a receiver. Go ahead and take one of those 2 receivers you like, and then
who you want, MVS or Horton?
I've been taking MVS.
I'll do it.
I think that he's got a little bit more upside. Horton may work into something later on, but I think MVS is going to be the outside guy to start and mix in quite a bit. So now you can pretty much talk about all these running backs because all these
we could build hyper fragile and just stop with those 4 running backs. None of them have an overlapping bye week. We don't have to take a 5th.
I was kind of talking myself into some Ollie Gordon.
I'm open to it though. I'm throwing out all the options.
The thing is, and I made a tweet about this. It's been a few weeks, but I told myself that I wanted to leave any draft with either Jalen Wright or Ollie Gordon. Okay. Because essentially there's nobody else in that running back room. Mostard's gone now. It's Jalen Wright and it's Ollie Gordon. And one of them are going to get the running back 2 job. And in the event that Achane gets hurt, they're both going to be in play already.
Are you not worried about Alexander Madison, who has a lot of veteran touches? He's a trusted guy. He's not going to be.
I know that even the OC talked about and left out Ollie Gordon in their last presser. And I guess that's a good point. God, I hate Alex. I just hate Alex. I don't think Alex Madison's good. I think he is total cat gravel, to be flat out honest. I think he's not good. But
my keyboard doesn't work. I keep typing and it doesn't work. I plugged it into the wrong.
He has been a solid.
No. Like I'm
in real life, like running back. You know what I mean?
He's just like I think he's a good enough real life NFL running back that like he eats into snap share.
He could. I don't know. I'm fine going hyper frag here because I don't think any of these running backs are great.
Then we either go Tesla or Tesla's kind of fun. Horton's kind of fun. We can do Coker for the bring back. These are all just hyper fragile wide receiver outlets.
I think Coker would be interesting, and it's the reason he's fallen is because he had the soft tissue today, which obviously he's been falling for a while now. But the reason he probably hasn't been drafted here is because he had the soft tissue injury today or in practice. I like Coker. I've got a decent amount of Coker, and like you said, it kind of gives us that run back. So I'm totally fine with Coker.
Dealing with injury. Did they say exactly what it was? What
just a soft tissue. Yeah,
that's not a great sign. But I mean, here's the thing: you and I both. We were talking about this earlier. We both watched college football. We know Ollie Gordon is good. He just had the one down year. Do we think we take Ollie Gordon?
That was going to be my original. Was going to be taking Ollie. Yeah,
let's do it. I'm not.
I think that gives us an extra. Yeah, I think that gives us an extra running back piece. I do think he's better than Madison, and honestly, I don't really fully believe that he's that far behind Jalen Wright. So he's a lot bigger body back too.
He's way different than Jalen Wright. You're right. Is 100%
definitely get the goal line work. So
Jalen's more of a speed back who doesn't actually catch as much either, and then Ollie Gordon is more of a.
He's a bigger body.
He's a big body guy who that's what they need in their offense.
Yeah, he's built for the early down road. So
I think so.
That's kind of a good point too. So I'm kind of glad we circled back around on that.
Yeah, I wanted to push to see how convinced we could get on the hyper fragile because this could have been a case for it. I just also think that we didn't necessarily need the extra wide receiver because our front four are strong enough.
Yeah, and that was originally, when we were getting to our last picks, that was my thought too. It's like grab one more running back, grab one more wide receiver, and call it a day. Like I felt like we balanced it out really well there at the end.
100%, no doubt. Yeah, this is fun. We'll see how it wraps up. Spend some time kind of looking at those picks and not eyes on the board, but it's always fun to see what other players get drafted.
I was going to say I wanted to see the first four guys there because you got Nick, Steve, and Jim, and then Vitt. I wanted to see exactly what they did. Steve says didn't get my sacks, but I'm still happy with the team.
Yeah, let's definitely scroll through. We got a bunch of buddies this one. We got Jason over here too.
Yeah.
We got
Paul.
Jim was in here, and then
Paul and the Legio, whatever that is. Legio.
Paul in here. Appreciate y'all for drafting with us and coming out and being active in the chat. And all the guys had their heads down on that draft, and now they're just popping back in. Steve's been here, but we got Nick Bach too, and Jim. Yeah, let's catch up. Let's catch up with what y'all are saying. Let's just kind of scroll through these teams and see what y'all did. It's fun. I'll zoom out just a bit more so we can. Gosh, wrong window. There we go. Let me just catch up for a sec with the chat. And then, Sean, you're doing a great job of holding it down in the chat, drafting, keeping the chat alive. Appreciate it, my man. You're a great moderator. It is really fun. I love talking ball with you and then drafting these teams. It's like somehow we're in the fastest draft rooms ever. I don't know if it's just going fast because we're enjoying it so much, but I feel like it kept being our pick. Just like, we're on the clock again.
I know. It's like it felt like we would. I guess we were just had too much dialogue that it was just like we were just rolling with it, and the picks just were coming up rather quick. But I totally agree, man. It's been a lot of fun. Jim said, weird one. Like this draft was kind of weird in a way, but I still think it felt really good. I'm pretty interested to see these other teams, but. No, chopping up the ball with you, man, has been really fun. It's been good.
No doubt.
And the chat's been really good too. So they've been kind of.
What up, Kriyath? How you doing it tonight, my man? Roman Wilson.
Been keeping
Roman Wilson. We were talking about those Steelers wide receivers. We'll see, man. He was really good at Michigan for one season, I think. I don't know about his whole career. I kind of forget, but he had a really good 1 year when they won the Natty, and the injuries are holding him back. But we'll see. The Steelers have been notoriously good at scouting wide receivers, so maybe he breaks through in year two.
Yeah, and I want to say I saw I think it might have been this morning. I saw I think it was a beat writer or maybe just a diehard Pitt fan, but he said watch out for Roman this year.
Okay.
So that's definitely. I haven't clicked him, and I haven't really thought about him. I've taken Calvin a few times, but it's definitely an interesting one to keep in your back pocket if you've got.
I'm interested in Calvin too. Maybe I'll sprinkle in some Wilson. I I hate dead roster spots, and so I like the news to compound a little bit, and for
especially with no quarterback. I mean, right
yeah,
now,
that's another part, right?
and that quarterback situation being as murky as it is, it's really hard to really want to take those guys, especially at the end of drafts. That we don't know how that room's going to shake out between now and September, August, whatever it may be. So it's tough.
Nick here says if Travis Etienne got traded to the Cowboys, where does ADP go?
Travis
Etienne.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I think some guys answered it in the chat a little bit, but just my natural response to that would be, I don't know that it really goes anywhere because the Cowboys' offensive line, and maybe their offense is a little better. It is better. Their offensive line is arguably not any better. I don't know for a fact, but that's kind of my gut. I think it hurts Javonte a lot, but essentially he's going to go in the same kind of range. Maybe he goes.
I think he would move up a little. Yeah,
a little higher.
I think he would move up just a smidge. I mean, I don't think he would break 100. I think he'd probably be going around like the Najee range in that 110.
I think I would still want Najee though. Like I like to bet on talent and opportunities is a piece of that. I think unfortunately Travis Etienne is just kind of worn down a little bit. It seems he's just gotten worse every year. I don't know. The injuries are
I guess the biggest turn away that I have with Najee is just I think that he could be completely phased out by by week 8, week 10. I've never thought Najee was really a great running back. I think that Hampton is that he can be literally the every down guy.
I think so.
And obviously they didn't pay Najee hardly anything. So 1-year deal. They're not tied to him at all. They gave him like $2 million, and then they I think it wrapped up to be like $5 million with incentives or something. But he's not making a lot of money. They're not tied to him. They drafted Hampton with the second? Was it their second pick?
The Chargers taking Hampton. Yeah. It was. Did they have a pick before that? I thought it was their first pick.
Was it their first pick?
I think so. It was in the first round.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It was in the first pick. So, yeah, I mean, I just fully. That's the reason why I'm not high on Najee, and why I say that if he did move up into that range, I might actually like him more than Najee, because if he did get traded to the Cowboys, obviously that means that the Cowboys are not very happy with what they have in their running back room, and that would mean that he has more contention to try to win the job. Because I obviously don't think Javonte is really good. Like you said earlier in the stream, Javonte had a really good O-line with Denver and didn't really do anything with it. He was getting the first league touches and just absolutely did not do anything with it. So I would think that backfield would be more wide open in the event that he did go to Dallas. So yeah, I think I would definitely think if he moved up, that it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see where he did move up to, and how far up he went.
Yeah, a lot of good takes there. A lot of good takes. I agree with everything you're saying. I think you're real thoughtful about all the movement in the NFL, and I think I'll mention it again because I haven't said it in hours. We've been ripping this draft, but everyone in the chat, everyone watching this in the future, make sure you're subscribed to Sean on Twitter, on X. Link in the description. Make sure you're subbed to his YouTube page, Extend the Drive, also in the description right below. I've been following him on Twitter for a number of years. I don't know when I started following, but he's very active on Twitter, and I think he has a lot of good conversation, not only fantasy-wise, but just he's a guy who's constantly thinking about football. It's very evident. And so love having guys in the community, in the Twitter sphere, and bringing them on the draft with us just to get more good takes, more insights, different angles. It's exactly what we did tonight. So it was a fun draft to rip this one. Let's look through the guys' teams, and then we'll kind of see what else we can get into. And I appreciate y'all all being here as well. Make sure you throw a like on the channel on this video. If you haven't already, I always forget to say it. I made a point to bring it up more. We're 2 hours in. It's the first time I've mentioned it. So if you're still here, if you're watching this, please give me a like. I appreciate it.
Please do. Yeah. Throw them a like. And obviously,
throw the like. Do it, damn it. And then we're going to be drafting all summer, guys. So stay tuned for more. We're doing a bunch of draft streams. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's best ball summer. It's here.
Hot best ball summer.
Yeah, it's getting hot and sweaty. It's down here in Houston, man. What's it like? And you guys have those thunderstorms that came through in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, man, it's been raining here for like the last 5 days. It feels like straight.
We lost power last night for about 9 hours.
When I woke up this morning, I didn't have power.
And look at us here. We're powering through it. We're drafting. Nothing can stop us.
That's right. Yeah, I think it was when I first woke up. It was like 7:30, and yeah, it was without power. Wait, maybe that was yesterday. Sorry. I think it was yesterday we were without power for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
They finally kicked it back on around like 9:30. So, but yeah, we were without. Yeah, we've had storms like crazy. It's been some crazy weather around here, man. So I'm sure you're probably getting that too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting tropical storm seasons around the corner. I've got my generator ready. I've got some gallons of gas in storage, and I'm ready for the worst of it. Last year was a pretty shitty hurricane season, but we'll make it through. It's all good.
Yes, sir.
But yeah. What's up, Akash? How you doing, brother? Is Bindles here? He was here earlier, but if you say his name 3 times, he might pop up in the chat. So we'll stay tuned. And didn't know Sean tweeted is the funniest thing I've ever read tonight.
Yeah. Boogie stays on me. He's always on. He's always on me.
I see it. Yeah, definitely a sharper room. Usual plan. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, we kind of filled it with the bros. Let's review these teams.
Yeah,
I mean, it's gonna be hard to keep track of everyone's, but we'll just scroll through the board because there's so many guys in here. It's like you said. We've got bros in the first 4 picks. You recognize Unsavory. I don't know if I've seen him in the chat, though. But like I said, I'm terrible with keeping names straight.
I have him on Twitter, and I've chatted with him a couple times. He's in the streets often.
Okay, it's just between YouTube and then, of course, Underdog. And I do it myself. I've got Candyman and the Underdog. Yeah. Garage is the YouTube. But people get confused. It's easy. And then we've got Legion. We've got Lumsky, myself. We got Jason here. So we got a bunch of teams. Nothing crazy in the first round. I guess we could scroll down and see who didn't get their stacks. It looks like people were saying it was kind of hard to pull that off. Looks like Steve was going for Burrow and didn't land it right. Cool Pants Bro actually took the Burrow. And then what was Nick trying to do? Nick was going with an interesting, pretty good standard build, got his Jalen Hurts, and then got the Jordan Love. So I think, and then Tucker Kraft, I think you've landed your stacks pretty nicely. That Tucker Kraft value pick there, I like that, Nick. That's a nice piece. I'm high on Kraft. I think he's a good mid tight end option, and seems pretty nice. Let's see Steve, because Sean, tell me what you think about Steve's team. He was thinking he kind of got hosed a little bit.
I see he started a little high T there with Barkley and then going Josh Jacobs in the third.
Mm-hmm.
Cortland Sutton, DK, Ricky Pearsall. He kind of caught back up at wide receiver. Takes Caleb Johnson, not bad. Jaden Higgins, I'm pretty big on. Gets Bo Nix with Sutton.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you said you didn't get any stacks, Steve. You got the Sutton and Bo Nix stack there, and Evan Ingram.
Makes sense for Ingram then, yeah.
Yeah, gets that along too there. Rashad, Fergie, Matthew Stafford. Did he have anybody? I don't think Stafford he had anybody with.
Yeah, Stafford might have been his value pick where he was saying he was trying to get those other stacks that didn't make it. And I'm sure he's in the chat letting us know he's probably fishing to get Bryce Young. And then not that he was like building towards it, but I know he's just a guy who's higher on him too.
Yeah, Kyle Williams, Pearsall. I mean, overall a good draft, but yeah, I think like much like everybody else in this room, it was just tough to. It was a tough draft.
Stroud didn't come back around, and then you get Pat Bryant, so you've got a really strong bet on that Denver game, but then the Indy with Jones, Brashard Smith there with the KC run back. Mm-hmm.
Week 17, Denver and KC.
Bindle is the bet. Actually, I wonder what he's up to. I think he's had a busy day. Bindles was saying last night on the stream that he I won't spoil it. I don't know if you mentioned it on the stream, but he had a big day today. So he's around, but and he's cooking some stuff up. I'll DM him and say, "Yo, I'll get him to pop in. We'll see if he pops in just for fun. I don't want to bother him." And then please check Gabe Davis stands commission bindles. Yeah, the Gabe Davis takes. We've got wasn't that it was Krias who was bringing up the Gabe landing spots and saying ATL for Gabe could be good too. I guess so, but I think of Mooney in that spot, and I think Mooney's kind of a do-it-all guy who's even more has more functionality than Gabe does.
I'm a Mooney guy, so yeah.
I'm a Mooney guy too. But then the Jets going for Gabe could make a lot of sense, I guess. The Jets feel like the
Jets could go for anybody.
They could really use something. They got the running backs piece figured out, but it's the wide receivers where after
they'll probably end up signing Keenan Allen. I'm sure. Watch.
What the fuck? Yeah, winning the flex. We got it. Steve cooked. He just wanted to flex. Yeah, I know. I get it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, typical. Yeah. The Purdy comeback and then a couple things. Yeah. You always have a few different outs and things. We all kind of plan for that. So sometimes it comes together really nice. Like that last one we did, the Eliminator, when we had each of those first three wide receivers stacked with each of the quarterbacks, that just feels just like you're just tying it all together so nicely. It feels like a little like bow on top of a nice draft. But then sometimes you kind of have to force some things. I think in this one, we kind of came back around after we didn't get Trevor Lawrence. We ended up going with JJ McCarthy and doubling down on the Detroit and Minnesota game, which ends up being fine. And then we made it work with Sam Darnold, kind of with our last pick-ish range. So
another little mini week 17 out of it. So let's look at Jim's and let's look at the 3 and the 4 real quick. And then
for sure. Yeah, I definitely want to get to them. Actually, I'm interested to know your thoughts. So I'll let you kind of run this one down again.
Well, you can see Jim wanted to really start out 0 running back here. It goes Jefferson, Rasheed, Devontae. Pulls up Rasheed to 2022. Okay.
Yep. And then Reek went 21.
Yeah. Devontae, Travis Hunter. Again, we knew he was looking at the Jacksonville there. Goes Hampton next to get the Charger. So goes Tony Pollard, brings up Tony. Well, yeah, 70. Brought up
He's
Tony Pollard.
Rising a little bit. Pollard has.
I've been taking him earlier. I don't mind it a single bit. Tax on Debo, which I'm on the fence about Debo one way or the other. Don't love him, don't hate him.
Sure.
And then grabs Jordan Mason with
love him.
Minnesota. Really like that. Then Mark Andrews, obviously a guy I'm still taking. Tootin. Then he grabs Trevor Lawrence for us, as he said he was going to.
Yeah, makes sense.
Tax on Tajay, tax on Algier, Cam Ward. Did you only go 2 quarters? No, he went dart at the very end. Then grabbed Brenton Strange to complete out the stack for Jacksonville.
And I'll say this is the range I think Strange should be going. I think he's gotten steamed up too far. I think he's a complete wild card with what his production could be. We're kind of projecting his production more than going on, too much of a history. So maybe I still think I would take Ertz and Otton over him. With the stack, I get it. And I was doing it more with the stack before. But one of the things I moved in my ranks yesterday, I moved Strange down behind a lot of these guys, like even Freiermuth and Henry. It's like, I don't know if I can trust Strange to beat those guys out. Maybe we'll see it happen, but.
Yeah, and Pat's fallen literally as a product of the quarterback situation. So I get that.
Yeah.
Which I've taken a lot of Freiermuth. He's not lasting that long in my room. And then, he took Cam Ward, so he took Lockett. Then he did the double tap there with Darius Slayton and Jackson Dart. I don't hate it. I think he kind of got a little fragile at the end, but I'm totally fine with it. I think it's a decent build. I think it's more than viable.
Yeah, let's see. So Paul says he feels weak at both running back and wide receiver. From this view, it's a little bit hard, but let me go ahead and pop over to this view for a quick one, and then it gives us a little bit of an idea. I mean, I usually like to review teams, in this pain, but there's so many less near it. Just kind of made sense to look at the board too. And
honestly, I agree with you. I'd rather look at it in this way too, because then you get to see exactly.
I think these running backs are good enough. Like you kind of started later on them, but if Hampton's the guy like Sean was talking about earlier, smash. Pollard, we're in. He gets the touches. Mason, a beast. Great offense. Yeah. It's going to be wheels up. Tootin, good upside swing. Spears could win you a week. Why not? Algier. So I think with those 6, like I don't worry about that at all. Maybe it's the receivers, but then again, you go Jefferson, Rice, Adams, Hunter. So maybe you're just suffering.
This is where I was saying I thought he kind of got fragile a little bit. The receivers took a hit
just because the older guys at the end, like Lockett and Slayton, are kind of older, but they get the stack. So I see what you're saying. You stacked in the later half of your team, but you have the talent up front. So I don't mind it at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I think it's totally viable. Totally okay.
Did you do it? I'll take this one. I'll do FFB Wizard. Okay. We'll kind of power through, and then we'll definitely get to Legion and then Lumsky as well. And then if Jason wants it, we can give Jason some of the sauce or some of the love. So CeeDee Lamb pulls up Reek and then Garrett Wilson. I like Garrett Wilson because it gives you the out to go Fields. Let's see if he pulled it off. Of course, with CeeDee Lamb, you're going to get Dak, and I think he did. Joe Mixon, Hubbard, James Conner. Can't argue with those 3 grown-ass men. Get the work, holding it down in their offense, not giving away a lot of snaps to anyone else as long as they're healthy. Myers is a fine value there. I sometimes it's like I'll take the Myers, sometimes I'll take the Diggs, and I don't hate Jaden Reed there either. So could have played it any of those ways. Pacheco is not a guy I click a ton, especially with the running backs you had. So maybe I just don't know what you're skipping out on to get Pacheco, or maybe you're just more in on that offense and want a piece of KC, which I can't hate on. I tend to go like a Downs or Higgins there, or maybe even.
Which I think that's funny because Jim is actually a Pacheco clicker, so he was probably wanting him there at 94.
Oh, interesting.
And Wizard took him. So I think
Dak at 17 feels like a great pick with the CD, and then you get Javonte. So keep doubling down on your Dallas bet. The Tua with the Reek, it only makes sense. Leggett, who knows? Maybe he breaks out in year 2. We're starting to hear some rumblings. The Gino to go with the Myers, and then Ertz for the bring back and the late tight ends with Frymuth and Arroyo. I like it. Savion Williams is fun. I've been trying to figure out ways to click Savion Williams. There's just so many pieces for the Packers. It's kind of hard to do, but I like it. I think that's a fun one. I mean, you get
kind of the 0 tight end build that I've been doing a lot lately.
Oh, I love that build too. Yeah. And the strong wide receiver, the decent running backs, and then he gets the stacks. I'm guessing Fields went at 114, and you would have had to take in Fields over Pittman Jr. So I get how that works out. But I like the way you went with Dak there. So that's a nice looking squad for sure. I mean, anytime you get CD and Dak, it's like as long as the rest of the build makes sense, you're viable in my mind. I mean, the CD and Dak combo could be the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase of 2025, in my opinion.
Yeah. Solid draft for the Wizard. Solid.
Let's see.
It's like Paul wants you to get him in the 7, the Legio there.
Yeah, for sure. Let's hit him up. And then Paul, let us know, is it Legion? Because to me, it looks like Legion. You're just missing the N with the.
It looks like he's doing Roman numerals there. Yeah,
I got the 13. So Legion 13 is what I would read that as.
That's fair. Yeah. I can see that.
I don't know. Interesting username. And then with like they got the little like, because your name stands out to me because it looks like Legion 13. 13, and then you've got the mohawk and the avatar, which kind of reminds me of the Roman helmet. So it's all coming together. Let's see how you pulled it off. The Puka Bowers, that's a fun combo. That's going to be a ton of receptions as long as Puka can stay healthy. And I never like to project injury, so let's say Puka keeps up his per game averages, and Brock Bowers is just him again. That you're going to have like half of the entire league's receptions, like almost literally. And then Anthony, appreciate you being here, my man. Have a great night. We'll catch you another one soon. And good stuff with the streams over the weekend. I like that. I was catching up with you and got some good stuff. So besides the fact that you should be subbed to this channel, you should be subbed to Sean's channel in the description. Also, make sure you check out Anthony, Best Ball on Call. He's put some streams out there too. And then needless to say, I mean, I've got a bunch of bros in here. Hartman's been in here too. Definitely check out Hartman's channel as well. He's been putting some good stuff together. But a good point to mention that tomorrow night I'll be avenging Sean on Best Ball Jeopardy. The Fan Speak Network's channel, Steve's channel. Steve has been in the chat, tearing it up, and dropping some nice articles too. So I'm a big fan of the Fan Speak Network Best Ball subscription. I've got the subscription. I don't miss an article. They've also got ranks. They're putting out a lot of great best ball content, and just I can't recommend it enough. So check that out as well, besides being subscribed to the Fan Speak Network and seeing what they're up to. So, I mean, what else can you ask for? We got a lot of great people in the space in the best ball community, and it's only getting better. So stick around, be a part of it, jump into the chat, come draft with us, all the good stuff. Let's continue with the team review. So Kyren, Puka Kyren is actually kind of fun. I was saying earlier that sometimes I'm tempted not to go Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on the same team, and it's expensive. But the Puka Kyren angle is a little different because it's two different positions, and then the third round capital is just slightly different than, top, I think the first overall pick and then kind of the end of the second or the top of the third. But I guess it's not that different. I've also done Puka with Devonta Adams before, but for some reason I like the Kyren Puka combo. I think it could work. It could be really nice. Just going all out on the Rams. Let's see what else you got there. So hopefully you got some Atlanta pieces. We'll figure it out. Jaden Daniels, could just be the guy you need. Calvin Ridley, yes, I like him. Lave going strong. The Aaron Jones, Scattaboo, Bateman. Some people are in on Bateman. Some people are out. I was kind of calling Bateman fancy Alec Pierce last week on stream. But he had like a great, touchdown upside in his last year and his breakout. I guess that was year 3. So we'll see with Bateman. It's a great offense to be a part of. Maybe some leverage against the Lamar Jackson team. Justin Fields feels good on any team you can get him in the 10th round. Some Hollywood and Njoku, Thielen, Dowdle. Bunch of running backs at the end here with Dowdle, Neal, and Giddens. Iomanner, Atwell. I gotta jump over to this view because I can't figure out exactly how it's stacked up. And maybe it's not. Yeah, there it is. So a rare unstacked team. I don't know if that is intentional or if it just didn't come together perfectly, but this is a team where you get your guys, you bet on talent, and then you let it ride. You get the rushing upside with the QBs. The running back room does enough for me. I think it can get you there. And then the wide receivers, anytime you got Puka, it could just be what you need. I think you got some depth here, and then stopping it, the 2 tight ends with Brock makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, I think it's a pretty fun squad. Can't hate on it. And you got some team-level correlation with a bunch of your picks, like the Calvin Ridley and A.O. Manor, and then you also got Atwell, Nakua, and Kyren. So it all kind of comes together, I think, even without the perfect stacks as you'd want with the QBs. You got some team-level correlation that's nice. Let's see. I don't know. I don't even know if we reviewed our own team yet, but we can take a look at our team and then also Jason's team. Oh no, actually Lumsky said his team too, right? So I mean, so many bros in here. I'm gonna switch over to that view. I think we looked at the board enough. Let me just do this view and then we can rock through it. I'll take on Lumsky's. And it's funny because on YouTube he's Lumsky, but on here he's D. Lutomsky. So that's got to just be the name and the Lumsky going in the name. So we'll figure it out. We're putting together the YouTube names and the underdog names in real time. 3582, Josh Allen, Herbert, and Anthony Richardson. You kind of sniped us on the Richardson pick. So I'm already pissed. But no, I like these 3. Tons of upside. Genty, Achan, Hall, really, really high T start. He locks up, at least he thinks he locks up the Jets' backfield. I've been questioning, and I'm curious to know your thoughts, Sean. Do you think it's Braylon Allen or it's Isaiah Davis, or is it neither this year for the number 2 spot behind Brees?
I think it'll be a mix. Honestly, I don't think that either one is just locked right into it. I do think that Braylon Allen probably would get the first crack, seeing as how he was really good in college. I would say Braylon's probably the next, but I honestly don't feel like you should feel comfortable really just about either. But I would take Braylon over Isaiah Davis, and I don't know your thoughts, but that's kind of where I would go.
No, I think it's obvious, and everyone thinks it. So I'm not going to like ignore ADP and ignore like the group think, but I'm not sold on Braylon Allen. I get that he's young. Maybe he continues to improve and all these things. I just didn't think he was that good. I think his only upside was hitting touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then Isaiah Davis was actually the guy who was a little bit more explosive, I'll say, or just kind of has the juice. So I'm curious to see how that pans out. Dobbins, of course, I'm obsessed with Dobbins. I gotta get off. I was off Dobbins last year. It burned me. Now I'm back on. We got to see where he lands, but I'll kind of continue to monitor my exposure to him and not go overboard. Wow, a lot of receivers. So there's 8 of them here, but it looks like a lot. Maybe just the way that it's looking. You took the running backs first and then hammered it through like these early mid early rounds. The Trey Harris stack, the Coleman, the Palmer makes a ton of sense. Mitchell. And I think that's one thing we saw on another team here too is like sometimes you just get the talent up front. And in this case with the running backs, and then you get the later stacks, the wide receiver, and it comes together. Smith and Ferguson's an interesting way to play it, but I can't really argue against any of the 2 tight end builds in 2025. They all just seem so viable. So even though it's a little bit maybe of a risk with the Ferguson, and then who knows if Jonnu can repeat that year. But I mean, why not side end?
You got a nice fall on Jonnu too. I mean,
what's that?
You got a nice fall. Yeah, you got.
Oh yeah, no, actually, now that I see it, almost 20 picks. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's hard to immediately notice, like when someone catches a faller when we're just team reviewing in isolation like this. Especially when we reviewed like 8 in a row. But that's a good point because I think that can influence a lot of why I take players sometimes. And so noticing that, it totally makes sense. And force the stacks of rushing QBs. Yeah, it totally makes sense. But then you had the Jaden McLaurin in the BBM last year. And Jaden had 30 points and Terry had 1 catch for 5. I know, isn't that crazy? It's like you never know how it's going to pan off. So I think sometimes we get obsessed with like a certain structure or way of building, and it might not be what you need. Because Steve always says it was his big board team that finished very well for him, where he had naked Baker Mayfield, and it just was a valuable pick because he was going at a low cost. So sometimes it's just having the right players.
Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, I don't always feel like you have to stack either. If you get good falls, you get good value on guys. I'm totally fine not. I saw that.
Is it Twitter then? What am I thinking of? And I'm just calling you lump. Is it Discord then, or am I just calling you Lumpski? But it's just Lutomski, and I'm just an idiot. Let me know. But I'll catch on. I'll catch on eventually, and I appreciate you being here and drafting with us too. More importantly, world famous Huron River Rat. If you don't already know, now you know. Oh man, this is a lot of capital at QB, but that's some nice looking QBs. I mean, Lamar Jackson, he's my number 1 ranked QB. Doesn't mean I fade Josh Allen, but just I think he's him, right? And then Purdy, Mr. Moneybags, gets the big deal. Everyone's backing on Purdy. I don't know anyone out on Purdy. Maybe I do, but no one really talks about like him in that way. And then Penix, I think he's going to be great. You got Penix at a value. I think you had London is the reason. Yeah, of course. So London, even with those 2 guys, maybe don't skip out on the London stack. This is an interesting running back room because it's a true 0 running back, and you don't always see these built like this anymore. It's literally 0 running back. Start with Najee, get Jaden Blue, Garindo, team stacked Hill, team stacked Lloyd, Mostert. And I think this could be enough. Like it's interesting the way that it looks. You might have to snag some touchdowns here and there. But you just never know what it's going to take. So I like how you did this. I want to build some more actual 0 running back teams. I've been hesitant to do it as much as I did last year. Last year I was doing some 0 RBs and some hero RBs. the most frequently. And then this year I've been more balanced approach and then tending to be late tight end and mid to late QB. So I think it's fun. Seeing this reminds me, I gotta build some more zero RBs, mix them in. And then of course, like the wide receivers always just look insanely good. I like the way you got the double stacks with the Falcons and the 49ers. Hits for good measure. So the triple and then the Mason Taylor. Yeah, why not? So, in this way, I just say my own personal preference. I think Pitts is, I've never really been in on Pitts. So it seems a bit thin at tight end, but I can't argue with a single wide receiver you took. I think the running backs also is enough and can get you there. I just wonder, and maybe you want the 6 running backs. I wonder if you could get super aggressive with it. Maybe stop at 5 as long as you don't have any, because you didn't have any crazy bye week overlaps, and then throw in a 3rd tight end, or maybe I just like it better if it wasn't Pitts. Who knows? But no, that's a fun squad.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. And I haven't really done a whole lot of zero arbs either. It's an interesting build, and obviously a lot of things gotta go right. But it'd be interesting to see how it finishes.
Yeah, it's a fun one. And then we'll have to keep an eye on this room because there's so many guys in here. And honestly, you can only advance 2, right? It's the 2-12. Yeah, it's 1-5-1-5, which is pretty nice, but it's still 2 out of 12. I guess we can look at our team last. I don't think we reviewed it yet. And then funny comment that Hartman caught on exactly why I've been calling D. Lutumsky Lumsky is just literally that's because I know he hangs out around BBG's channel, and I hear BBG say Lumsky on it. There's like 2 other people that who is it? No, it's, you know who it is, and this is maybe a little bit of too much in the best ball, like, and I say this affectionately, but like the chat rat groups, but Chip Skylark, who hangs out around Chip Chasing and Pete's channel and Pat Crane's channel. They call him Chipsy, but it's Chip Skylark. And maybe Sean, you don't get the reference because it's just it's the Fairly Odd Parents cartoon. It's just you had to have watched that cartoon to know it's like a really minute character from a dumb cartoon. But Chip Skylark is a fictional character in the Fairly Odd Parents. But they are also just right out of the range of catching on to the Fairly Odd Parents. So they don't see it as Chip Skylark. They see it as Chipsy.
Yeah.
But then they've been calling him that in the chats and the Discord and everything for so long that like I think
I know who Chipsy is. Yeah. So I've heard the reference,
Chipsy, but it's actually Chip Skylark, which doesn't. Yeah, there's no Chip.
I've drafted against Chip a lot too in my time, so definitely.
Unless I'm crazy, but I'm pretty sure maybe I made that whole thing up, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate. I think I caught on to that like a year or 2 ago, and I just stuck with it. No, I like that, Jason. You zigged when everyone else was zagging because I think you were the only true zero RB in the room. If I look back at the board,
I'm pretty sure he was.
And there's some, because like Hampton is still not the true zero RB, but that's kind of what I've been doing. The way I do it is you get a guy in the 5th round, but really zero RB, push it all the way to round 10 is pretty impressive. A way to do it. We'll see. Sean, I don't want to hold you up too much longer. Why don't we rip through this team and then we'll call it a day.
Sounds good, man.
You want to give me your last review on this one?
Yeah, 3-5-8-2. I do think we kind of landed there, like we said, by going that last running back, last wide receiver. We got the Goff. We pulled him up a little bit, but we knew we wanted to get him with Amon-Ra, so completely fine there. We stacked it up with the Week 17 with JJ. Then we took the late Darnold, who I think is a great late play if you want to go 3. I think this was a good team to do it for because, you're talking about a pocket passer and Goff. We're talking about the uncertainty around JJ. We obviously want to believe in JJ. We believe in him, but taking Darnold kind of gives us a little bit of an extra out there. So 3 quarterbacks is good. We started with the fall with Chase Brown, took the value on Harvey as well, then took Jenkins. So 3 straight running backs that were both very well, which I don't know how high you are on Chase Brown, but I do think at 33, I'm pretty much there. So got 3 solid running backs there. And then we tacked on Sharps and Ollie Gordon at the very end. So really like that running back room. Felt like we knew the guys that are going to have to do most of the work for us. And then we took some contingent upside there towards the end. So
yeah, it's pretty rookie heavy, but I don't mind it. Like I said earlier, I don't think of Harvey and Judkins in the same vein as like Ollie Gordon. I think of them as like shoo-ins for the majority of the snaps and touches in their backfields.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They're definitely not looked at in the same lens.
Yeah.
And then our wide receiver room was Amonra, BTJ. That's where we started. Then we tacked on Evans and Jordan Addison to continue that Detroit, Minnesota week 17. Had Alec Pierce there, tacked on Dobbs for more wide receiver depth. And then, of course, Kenyon Allen. Ended it with MVS to stack up our Seattle with Darnold. So I think that was totally viable. We tacked on Hogginson early where we knew we were already going to land that game. Wanted that week 17 with Minnesota and Detroit. And then we got a nice little fall there on Colston Loveland. Kept it at 2 tight ends and allowed us to kind of, balance out more elsewhere. So I think it's a really solid team.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's a fun way to do it. You only get so many entries into this pug. Yep. So I appreciate you coming on tonight, drafting it with me, talking up the ball. It's good to get to know you a little bit better and rip some drafts with you, and we'll do it again real soon, my man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on, and yeah, I'm absolutely going to have you come on the show really, really soon, man. So I look forward to that. Yeah,
and we'll definitely do it.
Yeah, I appreciate the ball talk. It was really fun. Enjoyed it.
And let the people know. Do you got anything else that you got going on this week? Anything scheduled you want to let them know about?
I know of a show that I'm going to have on Friday evening. I am going to be having that with Mr. Justin Bruni over at Fanspeak.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that will be on Extend the Drive, I believe around 8 Central Time or Eastern, 7 Central. Sorry.
Okay.
I think we've locked that one in. I might do, depending on my workload tomorrow and depending on how things look, I might do a solo tomorrow afternoon. I'm not sure yet. But other than that, Thursday I'm blocked up, I think, with softball for the little girls, my daughters. And
nice.
And then obviously might look for something in the weekend. But yeah, Friday looks pretty solid. And then might do something tomorrow. But Extend the Drive, youtube.com/@XTDBBL. If you want to go check it out, give a like, give a sub, would highly appreciate it. And at SMitchell17 on Twitter, man.
Yep. We got the links in the description. Appreciate you all being here with us tonight, drafting with us. Maybe keep drafting the rest of this week. Going to be doing Fanspeak Network Best Ball Jeopardy tomorrow night, going off head-to-head against my mortal enemy.
Definitely going to be checking that out. Yeah, y'all definitely got to watch
come check it out. It's a fun time. Watch me beat down Hartman and avenge Sean against his unfortunate non-victory against Hames last week.
Yeah.
And then I got some more stuff planned this week. Pretty much drafting 8:30 p.m. Central almost every single night. And so I'll catch you in another draft real soon. Thanks again, Sean, for coming on.
Thank
Fun,
you.
man. We did it. We're going to end the stream there. Catch y'all later. Peace.